Not so many years ago, he added, it was unthinkable that an online Finland would join. But that all changed with Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The strategic significance of Finland joining NATO is it has an 800-mile border with Russia. President Putin, who said he wanted less NATO on his frontier, is instead getting more. The Kremlin's response has been predictable, describing Finland's membership as an escalation.
BBC correspondent Jonathan Beale reporting from Brussels. About 5,000 white-collar workers at General Motors took the company's buyout offers, which the automaker says is enough now to avoid layoffs. GM says the offers will save them about $1 billion per year in costs. The Dow is down 263 points, the Nasdaq off 99. More at townhall.com.
Execution's 11 p.m., but he's trying to convince us he's gone insane.
Therefore incapable of being executed.
On April 14th.
Edward?
I'm not Edward. I am a demon. In the vein of C.S. Lewis's Screwtape Letters. I think it's time we tell you what it is that we'd like you to do. Comes Nefarious. Rated R. Under 17, not admitted without parent. In theaters April 14th.
My name is Jason Hansen. I'm a former CIA officer and New York Times bestselling author. You can protect your hard-earned retirement assets with a tax-free loophole that allows you to convert your retirement into physical gold and silver. Advantage Gold is the nation's highest-rated gold company. They have the best process, pricing, and service. If you want to get your free gold and silver investment kit, please contact Advantage Gold right now. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Call 800-900-8000.
French President Macron will have to muster all of his diplomatic adeptness and political acumen on a 3-day visit to China, where the war in Ukraine will be front and center.
Macron is expected to warn China against sending weapons to Russia and instead ask that the country use its influence to support peace efforts. Beijing claims to have a neutral stance in the war, but also has stressed its no-limits friendship with Russia. Trade will also be a major focus of the visit.
Correspondent Jeremy House. Macron asked the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen to join him for a meeting with Xi. Amsterdam Schiphol, one of the top airports in Europe, announcing it will turn down the noise and limit its pollution. The airport will phase out all traffic between midnight and 5 a.m., ban private jets and the noisiest planes, and abandon a project for an additional runway. Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. 3 Democratic state lawmakers in the Tennessee House of Representatives who stormed the state capitol are being reprimanded.
The 3 are being stripped of their committee assignments and face expulsion after taking part in gun protests that saw protesters storm the legislative chambers of the Capitol. The GOP-controlled House voted to remove Representatives Justin Jones, Justin Pearson, and Gloria Johnson from their committees on Monday. Tennessee House Speaker Cameron Sexton said their actions were unacceptable and a violation of the rules of decorum. Resolutions have been put forward to remove the 3 from the legislature. Tasha Stevens reporting.
A one-time chief of staff for former Maryland Governor Larry Hogan died Monday after being shot when FBI agents confronted him in a manhunt launched after he failed to show up for trial on corruption charges. The FBI has confirmed 53-year-old Roy McGrath's death. More on these stories at townhall.com. I'm John Scott.
King Jewelers is not your typical jewelry store. It's an iconic symbol of love. Custom-made jewelry to suit the most discriminating taste. Or you can redesign an old piece that's just sitting in a jewelry box. Create something completely new and unique. Grover has over 40 years' experience as a certified jeweler. Visit KingJewelerJackson.com. King Jewelers at 16B Conrad Drive, Jackson. Follow King Jewelers Jackson on social media for special savings.
News Talk 96.5 FM weather presented by Dustin Rain. Dustin buys houses fast for cash. Call Dustin now, 731-200-1362. Tuesday brings partly sunny skies, breezy and warm. High temps in the mid-80s. Winds 15 to 20, gusting up to 30 miles per hour. Mostly cloudy overnight. Showers likely with a slight chance of thunderstorms thunderstorms after midnight, low of 70, wind gusts up to 40 miles per hour are possible. Dustin Ring, Dustin buys houses fast for cash. Call Dustin now, 731-200-1362, DustinBuys.com.
Hi, my name's Dawn. I have been taking BioT at Advanced Medical. My moods are better. I sleep well. My husband has complimented me on the mood swings that are no longer affecting our marriage.
Are these problems affecting your work, your relationships, and your quality of life? You'll be happy to know there's an exciting, natural solution available called BioT. BioT uses a natural way for men and women to correct these problems by safely and accurately balancing hormone levels without the use of synthetic injections or cream.
I got blood work done, and they identified what hormones were out of balance. They gave me the bioidentical hormone pellets through BioT, and now I have more energy, no more brain fog, I'm sleeping better, and I feel like my old self again. I would recommend Advanced Rehab and Medical and their BioT program to anyone suffering with symptoms like mine. It's been life-changing.
To book your appointment, call 731-462-8580. That's 731-462-8580.
Are you looking to move up in your career, change career paths, or maybe even thinking about finishing that degree you started? Jackson State Community College is here to help you greenlight your career. If you're 23 and older, you may qualify to go to college tuition-free through Tennessee Reconnect. Yes, you heard that right, tuition-free at Jackson State. Whether you're earning your degree for the first time to advance your career or finishing a degree you already started, Jackson State Community College is here to greenlight your career. It's time to take the next step in earning your degree. Learn how at jscc.edu/reconnect.
Take us with you wherever you go. Download our free apps for Apple and Android. Visit newstalkwtn.com. Then click to download.
Good afternoon. This is Dr. Mark Fowler, and you're listening to News Talk 96.5, coming to you from the Gene Langley Ford Studios at 2152 Highland Avenue in Jackson, Tennessee. My co-pilot is Larry Newman. How are you, Larry?
Hey, man, how are you?
I'm good. Did you have a good evening yesterday?
Yes, I did.
All right, very good. Larry's going to tell us about the weather and bring us up to speed on that. My other co-pilot is Cole. How are you, Cole?
Good.
Good. It's good to be with you today. Cole is an intern here, and he helps us out and does a lot of the important things that have to be done. Well, the big news of today is that Donald Trump has finally been indicted and arraigned on 34 counts of misleading or creating misleading records. Now, I've looked at the indictment. The indictment doesn't tell you a great deal. The 34 counts appear to arise from the fact that each financial transaction, from the submission of a voucher to the cutting of a check and entry of the records, has been broken down into three separate elements. Now, I'm not sure about that, but that's what it looks like to me. So this is kind of a scattergun approach. The 34 counts probably don't amount to more than a handful of transactions, each of which appears to have been subdivided. Now, the federal statute, or the statute that Bragg is relying on, requires an intent to defraud. And the essence of the story is that Donald Trump attempted to get information and hide or conceal it from the public, which might have been damaging to him. A potential defense to that would be that he simply wished to make an aggravation go away. I want to repeat a hush money agreement or non-disclosure agreement is not illegal. In fact, it is legal. And whether or not it involves moral turpitude is a question up in the air. Both Trump and Stormy Daniels, Trump has consistently denied having an affair with Ms. Daniels, and Ms. Daniels has been all over the place, both affirming and denying their relationship. But the indictment seems to suggest that Trump was hiding this inappropriate information from the public. There was a financial twist to it, and that is somehow, in Eric Trump's viewpoint, against the law. I would be shocked, I say, to hear that a Democrat had never done the very same thing, whether it was failing the bar examination or failing a law school class or a DUI or anything else like that, that somebody would not try to keep quiet. But that does not amount to criminal activity. I can think of one New York politician who had a computer server in her house which was supposed to have been secured, and she destroyed 30,000 emails in the midst of a prosecution. That seems like an attempt to defraud the New York voters by concealing evidence. What say you, Larry?
That should have been 30,000 felony.
Yeah, they'd have had to use a bunch of paper to get her taken care of. But anyway, that's where we are. The arraignment was otherwise unremarkable. There were some protesters outside Trump Tower and outside the courthouse. There was a little physical fisticuffs, but nothing of significance, and there's no report of property damage so far. So there you are. Donald Trump has been indicted and arraigned, and the attorneys will begin the process of poring over the indictments to see where this goes. An unusual number of political allies and opponents of Trump's have stepped forward to condemn this, including Rod Blagojevich, former governor of Illinois, who has consistently claimed he was falsely prosecuted, and even Jeb Bush. Now, I want to take a detour here. Jeb Bush didn't have to say anything, but for Jeb Bush to step up, particularly given the fact that Donald Trump was rather dismissive of him, for Jeb Bush to step up and condemn this as political persecution, it was remarkable, and I think it speaks to Jeb Bush's character. Others have gone on record as condemning this, and there are lots of high-powered attorneys involved in this, and Donald Trump has a lot of money to pay attorneys, so you can expect a flurry of motions to dismiss and hearings and that sort of thing. I am dismayed to see that the next court appearance is scheduled in December, which of course means that this will drag out over the course of the next few months until we get some sort of resolution. But that's the big story of the day. Larry, what do you think?
Much ado about nothing.
That's what I think.
I'm telling you.
Let's count on Larry to put a Shakespearean twist to this. Much ado about nothing sounds exactly right. Well, all right. In a few minutes, we'll get to the weather. Right now, let's talk briefly about the Month of Miracles. The City of Jackson puts on the Month of Miracles. It's a service event. Residents in the community can come together and do a volunteer activity to help make Jackson a better place. According to Bridget Parham, Recreation Manager of the Jackson Recreation and Parks Department, anyone age 12 or older can participate, and anyone under 18 will need to be accompanied by a guardian. Your service can be creative or in a way that you may already be helping someone in need, including helping a neighbor in your area, volunteering at church or other nonprofit that may need some painting or any other type of service activity. Now, Cole is a young man. Cole, what grade are you in?
I'm in 8th grade.
8th grade. Okay. Let me help you out with something. If you get a girlfriend sometime down the road and you want to impress her parents, do not tell them that you're involved in community service.
Okay.
Because that sounds like, you're having to do probationary work or something like that. All right? Just say volunteer service, not community service.
Okay.
We're coming to you from the Gene Langley Ford Studios on 2152 Highland Avenue in Jackson, Tennessee. Our call line is sponsored by CWA Development, experts in renovation and restoration. If you had some storm damage or water damage, you have plumbing issues, wood issues with your deck or fence, give them a call at 731-503-9598. Open from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. and a Sunday as well. Let's see, Larry, what do you got about the weather? Can you tell us anything?
Okay, currently in Jackson, Tennessee, it's 86 degrees. Feels like 88.
Feels like 110 right here.
Yeah, it is in here. Had the AC on, so that's something different.
Yeah.
The barometric pressure in Bemis is 29.78. Tonight, the low will be 72, mostly cloudy. Slight chance of showers and thunderstorms after midnight. Some thunderstorms may be severe with damaging winds and large hail. Breezy with lows in the upper 60s. South winds 15 to 20 miles per hour. Chance of rain is 20%. So we'll all be asleep.
Yeah.
Wednesday, thunderstorms, high of 76. Wednesday night, 53, an 80% chance of storms. So we'll have rain tomorrow. And then Thursday, a 40% chance of storms and 54. Thursday night, 45 degrees.
All right. So they pushed that heavy weather over to Wednesday and Thursday,
right?
Haven't they? Okay. Very good. That's good. All right. Jackson Transit Authority is having some issues. There has been a budgeting or accounting error. The transit service, funded through the federal government, state of Tennessee, and city of Jackson, met with the City of Jackson Budget Commission Thursday, March 23rd, to discuss their budget needs for the remainder of the year. During the meeting, the committee found major issues within the budget. Apparently, JTA had never submitted the grant match to Jackson City Council, but did include it in their yearly budget and proceeded to spend money like it was there. When the JTA discovered this, they also discovered they had overestimated passenger fare revenue by about $250,000. So with these factors, JTA was behind in revenue by the year, and it appears that there's going to have to be a cut in services, but the Jackson City Council did agree to make the payment as previously discussed. So hopefully there won't be a serious interruption of services, but you want to follow this closely if you rely on Jackson TA Transit Authority to get around. The Jackson area community bands will host a free spring concert. This is a free public event, will be held on Monday, May 1 at Union University's Savage Chapel, featuring two ensembles, the Symphonic Wind, a wind and percussion ensemble conducted by Tony Burris, and a swing orchestra, jazz and big band ensemble conducted by David Heil. All right, we'll be back in just a second. We're going to take a break, an obscene commercial break, and we'll talk a little bit more about developments in New York City. You're listening to 96.5 News Talk Radio. This is Dr. Mark Fowler filling in for Dan Reeves, who's out taking care of business.
King Jewelers is not your typical jewelry store. It's an iconic symbol of love. Custom-made jewelry to suit the most discriminating taste. Or you can redesign an old piece that's just sitting in a jewelry box. Create something completely new and unique. Grover has over 40 years experience as a certified jeweler. Visit KingJewelerJackson.com. King Jewelers at 16B Conrad Drive, Jackson. Follow King Jewelers Jackson on social media for special savings.
When the game goes into overtime. But the game goes into overtime. The choice to enjoy is easy. Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Pick up Bud Light at your local convenience store today. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Central Distributors, Jackson.
Let's face it. People want to feel loved, appreciated, and pampered. Beauty to the Bone has a mission and a purpose to help you look and feel beautiful inside and out. From facials to Botox, fillers, lasers, IV therapy, functional medicine, and all in between, we've got you covered. Book your appointment today to feel your very best tomorrow.
Book your appointment today. Call 731-300-9103. That's 731-300-9103.
Hey, this is Chuck Walker with Southeastern Termite and Pest Control. We recently celebrated our 20th year in business here in West Tennessee. That's 2 decades of growth for us. We've added to our work family, moved locations a few times, seen our coworkers have kids and grandkids. We've even seen our clients who were kids when we started at their parents' house now call us to take care of their homes. Lots of things change over 20 years, but here's what hasn't. We can still be reached 24 hours a day. We still provide quality, guaranteed termite and pest control service for all all of West Tennessee. We still are the go-to company for real estate closing letters. We still provide quality fungus treatments and affordable moisture barriers. We still take care of your bed bugs, brown recluse, and every other pest problem you could have. If you own a home, you need termite protection. And the biggest thing we've learned in 20 years, we need you. Give us a call 24 hours a day for a different kind of experience from a service company. Southeastern, 660-1052. That's Southeastern, 660-1052.
96.5 FM. Home of the Dan Reeves Show.
Weekday afternoons, 3 till 6.
All right, this is Dr. Mark Fowler. You're listening to 96.5 News Talk Radio in Jackson, Tennessee. Coming to you from Gene Langley Ford Studios. Gene Langley Ford, the dealership that Service built. Gene Langley Ford. Give them a try before you buy. They will treat you right. Let's go back and re-examine some things that have been said, some predictions that were made, and things that didn't appear to pan out as expected or feared. You recall that a day or so ago, New York City Mayor Eric Adams tells protesters and specifically Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene to control themselves. He was joined by New York Police Department Commissioner Keechant Sewell, and they held a briefing Monday regarding security preparations ahead of today's arraignment. Adams warned at City Hall, control yourselves. He said, New York City is our home, not a playground for your misplaced anger. We are the safest large city in America because we respect the rule of law in New York City. Get this, although we have no specific threats, people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was known to spread misinformation and hate speech, says she's coming to town. While you're in town, you be on your best behavior. Now, Larry, it seems to me this was just an attempt to gin up more fear, more apprehension about something that absolutely did not happen. As I said, there was some minor scuffling, but Fox News is not reporting significant damage, property damage, not reporting significant injury. So this is one more effort by the left to whip up fear and try to extend their control over us. What say you?
I think these two guys just wanted a little bit of TV time.
Yeah, I think
because
exactly
they're probably going to end up running for a bigger office later on,
right?
And they can point back to this like it's something, and it's not. But you know, people in New York, they don't know any better. They'll vote for them.
Well, this political stunt is an ongoing manifestation of the almost paranoid Trump derangement syndrome. Liberals and progressives hate Trump so badly that it clouds their judgment. I would be the first to say that Trump has to answer for any criminal activity he's done, but I've glanced at the indictment and I was remarkably unimpressed. These business entries were contained within the Trump business documents themselves, and it's a little difficult to see how he could defraud himself. These were not documents he was required to submit to the Federal Election Commission, not documents he was required to submit to the state of New York. They were simply internal Trump business derangement documents. Trump internal documents. So I'm not sure what all the excitement's about. But I also want to go back and talk about D.A. Alvin Bragg. First of all, you may remember about a month or so ago, a little bit longer maybe, there was a person working in one of the little stores, the bodega in New York City. Somebody came in with a knife and attempted to rob the bodega.
Right.
The shopkeeper or employee grabbed the knife and wound up stabbing the would-be robber, and he died. And his name, I think, was Alba, and Alba was charged with murder. Now, after a public outcry, there was the charges were dismissed. But frankly, there's a message there. And the message is, do not attempt to defend yourself. because we will side with the robber. We are going to treat criminals as a protected class. That bodega worker's name was Jose Alba. And there are videotapes of the attempted robbery, which it's fairly clear in the midst of this robbery, the knife came loose. Alba grabbed it and acted to defend himself and was arraigned and held in Rikers Island briefly until he was able to file a motion for bond. The motion was granted and the bond was reduced, and Alba was released. Alba has since gone back to Costa Rica, I think, but he's gone out of the country he's just thrown up his hands and said he's had all he can take. But the video of this shows the deceased bullying, threatening, waving this knife around. He's not a very good robber because somebody took the knife away from him. Alba did and stabbed him with it. And he died. Stabbed him in the neck, it looks like, because I just watched the tape. So Bragg decided to charge him with murder. And then the other day, let's see, there was somebody, it was a garage attendant, and he was charged with murder. Let me pull that up real quickly. He was watching somebody, and the somebody was looking in cars as though you were going to rob the place, and here we go. Finally, the computer works. The New York Post on April 4th reported that Bragg will not charge the garage worker who shot the suspected thief. Now, initially, the news was that he would be charged. His name is Musa Diarra. He was shot twice by alleged thief Charles Rohde early Saturday before turning the tables on Rohde and pumping a bullet into him with the thief's own handgun. Now, you know, that is in bad taste. to take a robber's handgun away from him and shoot him with it. That may be rude, but I don't think it's a crime. But in any event, Rohde, I guess he's still alive. He was in the hospital at one point. Musa Diarra woke up in the hospital after having been shot in the head. That was a graze wound, and shot in the stomach. And he woke up in the hospital chained to the bed. And the district attorney's office was going to charge him with second-degree murder. Now get this. Bragg finally woke up from his nap and elected not to charge him. I guess the cops charged Diarra with attempted murder, assault, and gun possession. Now get this. Diarra takes the gun away from the robber, and they charged Diarra with illegal gun possession. So I don't know what those people are drinking or smoking up there, but now that's just bizarre. So, a word to the wise, if you're planning on traveling to New York City, don't, because if you defend yourself, you may find yourself charged with illegal possession of a gun. Those people are all on crack. Every one of them's on crack. But in any event, Diarra wakes up in the hospital, chained to the bed, is informed that he's facing attempted murder, assault, and gun possession. You can imagine his surprise. What are you talking about? And anyway, they're not gonna charge him. But anybody with that sort of momentum, anybody with that sort of mindset is just nuts. It's reported that Bragg reduces as many as 50% of the charged felonies to misdemeanors, and of the matters he takes to trial, he only prevails about 51% of the time. Now, obviously, in the midst of the first hour or so when the police arrive and start issuing charges, subsequent investigation may warrant a lesser charge. That happens all the time.
Right.
Or there may be issues with reliability of witnesses, or witnesses who don't want to cooperate or testify, and that can affect the level of charges that you bring. But to set for trial a case and not have a record better than 51% winning is not very impressive, because the prosecutor has unlimited discretion And if he's got a weak case, he just doesn't take it to trial. He either dismisses it or he tries to get a plea bargain when that's in his interest. So Bragg is clearly a loose cannon. Bragg is a far left, progressive, George Soros elected or supported prosecutor. And he pledged from the very beginning to get Trump, so to speak. He had brought a number of criminal charges against the Trump organization. So that raises serious ethical questions as well. We don't prosecute people in the United States. We prosecute crimes. But in any event, that's where we are. Now consider the charges against Trump. Of these charges against Trump, most of them were misdemeanors.
Right.
Boosted up only because the misdemeanor statute of limitations has run. If you bump them up into felonies, which is the exact opposite of what Bragg does for everybody else, then you get within the statute of limitations. Therefore, Trump would probably have been better off to have robbed a bodega than to manipulate this paperwork. But in any event,
what are those? They're like a 9. There was something where it's the lowest.
Oh yeah, it's the
felony
lowest
that you can,
felony.
just above a misdemeanor.
Right.
But,
So anyway,
God, these people.
I would be interested to see what would happen if Trump actually did rob a bodega. They probably release him on bond and tell him to play nice. But anyway, that's the insanity that goes on in New York City. I've been in New York City shortly after Rudy Giuliani was in power, and it was nice. We felt safe. Nobody bothered us. There were no problems. But I went back a few years later and was actually assaulted in a subway station. Some homeless person came up and attempted to knock me down, and that's how New York City has changed. And that's a shame because it's a nice place to visit, or used to be a nice place to visit. So that's,
that's when you ask somebody where you're from and they say New York City.
Yeah.
And you say, get a rope.
That's right. Anyway, so that's all the news that is news. The anticipated riot did not happen. There's no report of Marjorie Taylor Greene being there. So I don't know what Eric Adams was talking about. Seems like they ought to focus on some more important things than Donald Trump's paperwork. But anyway, there you are. McNairy County Sheriff Guy Buck says the number of fatalities as a result of the storms earlier this week has now reached 9. 2 more victims were recently found about 7 p.m. Saturday evening. Those folks will be cleaning up. We had problems in Adamsville, problems in Covington, and also problems in Hardin and McNairy County. So hopefully they're well on the way to recovery, and we wish them well. When we come back, we have some more things to talk about. We will talk about more on the Nashville shooter, and we'll talk about London Breed and her dilemma with crime and homelessness, and we'll talk about the protesting Democrats facing discipline from the Tennessee House of Representatives. You're listening to 96.5 News Talk Radio.
Hi, my name's Dawn. I have been taking BioTE at Advanced Medical. My moods are better. I sleep well. My husband has complimented me on the mood swings that are no longer affecting our marriage.
Are these problems affecting your work, your relationships, and your quality of life? You'll be happy to know there's an exciting, natural solution available called BioTE. BioTE uses a natural way for men and women to correct these problems by safely and accurately balancing hormone levels without the use of synthetic injections or cream.
I got blood work done, and they identified what hormones were out of balance. They gave me the bioidentical hormone pellets through BioTE, and now I have more energy, no more brain fog, I'm sleeping better, and I feel like my old self again. I would recommend Advanced Rehab and Medical and their BioTE program to anyone suffering with symptoms like mine. It's been life-changing.
To book your appointment, call 731-462-8580. That's 731-462-8580.
When the game goes into overtime. But the game goes into overtime. The choice to enjoy is easy. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Pick up Bud Light at your local convenience store today. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Central Distributors, Jackson.
Looking to add a little spice to your love life?
Nothing adds spice like gunpowder.
Jackson's only indoor shooting range, date night at the range. Here's what you lovebirds get: a shooting lane for two targets, 100 rounds of ammo, eye and ear protection, and a $30 gift certificate to Texas Roadhouse. All for just $99.99.
Now that's firepower.
Perfect for a gift card from the range. The Range, 2310 North Highland Avenue in Jackson.
Go to therange.com.
Precision Auto Body strives to provide you with excellent customer care. Precision Auto Body will gladly handle your insurance work. Get a free quote by logging on to precisionautobodytn.com. A lifetime warranty on any auto body or paint work. Precision Auto Body. Visit our location nearest you in Milan, Martin, or Dyersburg. PrecisionAutobodyTN.com.
Take us with you wherever you go. Download our free apps for Apple and Android. Visit newstalkwtn.com. Then click to download.
Good afternoon. This is Dr. Mark Fowler. You're listening to the Dan Reeves Show. Dan is out taking care of business, and I'm at the helm along with my associate Larry Newman, who's going to keep us out of the ditches today. And my good friend Cole, who's an intern, he's going to keep us out of trouble on the other side. Just want to survey some brief headlines from the Babylon Bee. If you're not familiar with the Babylon Bee, it's a satirical news site which has made headlines that sometimes occasionally work out. One of their headlines is Democrats throw biggest ever fundraiser for the Trump campaign. Donald Trump's campaign fundraising is breaking records thanks to a lavish fundraiser hosted by Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg and the Democratic Party. Sources say that as Trump arrived in the New York courthouse for the fundraiser, his campaign raised millions from energized citizens eager to support the only presidential candidate indicted by Soros-funded DA. At this point, if someone hasn't been indicted by a corrupt Soros DA, can you even trust that person, says local Trump voter Bubba Gruggs while clicking the donate button on the latest email from the Trump campaign. At publishing time, it had been revealed that half the donations to the Trump campaign came from Democratic activists who are desperately hoping he runs again on the theory that if Biden beat him once, Biden can beat him again. In other news, several eagle-eyed observers reportedly noticed something strange about the arraignment judge as Trump arrived in court this afternoon. It appears that the judge is actually a kangaroo in a powdered wig, according to the Babylon Bee. Which seems entirely
Must
appropriate.
Must be a kangaroo court.
That's a kangaroo court. Of course it is. Let's see. Here's another one from the Babylon Bee. The owner of 73 purses questions the need for more than one cool knife. A married couple was seen wandering the mall Monday in Jacksonville, Florida, when the owner of one cool knife stopped to take a gander at more cool knives on display in the window of the Stabology storefront. The owner of 73 purses then asked her companion why he needed more than one cool knife. She said, "Don't you already have a cool knife?" asked the woman who owned a batch of purses for each day of the week, and didn't it cost a lot of money, somehow forgetting about her Vera Bradley satchel. The look of confusion appeared on the face of the owner of one cool knife as he began to explain the functional differences between his cool knife at home and the cooler knife calling to him through the pane of glass like a watery sign. "This one has a gut hook handy for field dressing deer or elk or even wild boar," said the man who's never hunted deer, elk, or wild boar. And then the owner of 29 trendy water bottles shrugged off the knife aficionado's reasoning. It reminded him they were trying to save up for porch furniture, unaware that her husband was then calculating the dollar value of the closet full of shoes while praying for the patience of Job. At publishing time, the owner of one cool knife had refrained from purchasing another cool knife and was last seen pouting silently in his garage full of 37 unused power tools. Larry, that rings true to me. I've had that experience. So there you are. News from the Babylon Bee. Cole, are you eating chicken? Cole's got some, not Kentucky Fried Chicken, it's the other chicken. Chick-fil-A chicken. It smells real nice. At this point, Cole has not offered to share his chicken with either myself or Larry, but instead...
He's a smart man.
Yeah, he's just waving it around to stir up the fumes like his mother didn't raise him any better than this. I'm going to have to call your parents after this. You understand that?
They brought him the
Did they bring
food,
it to
yeah.
you? Oh, man. That's even worse. All right. Let's see. As Trump fans gather in New York City, according to the Babylon Bee, FBI agent excitedly dons MAGA hat one last time. All right. Now, here's one. This is true. There was this guy, and I think his name is Douglas Mackey. And what he did was created some hoax, and he would send this email message to thousands of people indicating they could vote via phone.
Right.
Now, he was convicted of election interference because it turned out that some of the people actually thought they had voted for Hillary Clinton. Now, you talk about a low information voter. But anybody who thinks they could vote via phone, it doesn't need to be voting anyway. But he was convicted, and I think he's awaiting sentences. Let's see. Although many other social media users were engaged in similar activities, such as the one with which Mackey was charged, his crime was deemed far more severe due to the fact that his targets were Democrats. Mackey's Biden GIF, reportedly depicting Biden sniffing a young girl's hair on a continuous loop, may result in additional charges. The government cannot stand for this, the DOJ spokesman continued. Democrats must be protected from these dangerous people who want to express their opinions. So there you are. Interesting stuff. All right. The judge in Donald Trump's arraignment allowed still photographs, but no live video feeds from the courtroom. Haven't seen much there. And again, this is pretty much a handful of nothing, as nothing seems to have happened much other than the routine administrative aspect of announcing the charges and having Trump plead guilty. But we'll keep an eye on that. More on the Nashville shooter. It appears that Audrey Hale, who the police said was transgender and recently began using male pronouns, seemed to cherish her time playing middle school basketball at Covenant School. She was shy, but her friends tried very hard to reach out to her and embrace her. Later on, her preoccupation with the basketball team turned obsessive and stalkerish. Unfortunately, of that basketball team, 3 young adults have died. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I hadn't heard this.
3 adults, 2 of them were killed in car wrecks, and then Miss Hale was killed as a result of the shooting incident. Police have revealed that Hale fired 152 rounds during the rampage. So she was just basically shooting at everything that moved.
Well, I've heard that the pastor at the school or the church was counseling her.
Is that right?
And that was on Salem the other day on one of the shows.
Yeah.
But I haven't read it or heard it anywhere else. I just heard it there. But they're just trying to come up with, I'm sure it's all going to be in that manifesto.
Yeah.
If
which
they
has not yet
that.
been released, of course. And I would like to see it just to see what her thinking was.
Or lack of
thinking. She had apparently spent a great deal of time planning this, had researched on the internet what other mass shooters had done, and spent some time thinking about this. So she was terribly disturbed for some period of time, but managed to conceal this. She had a cache of other guns and ammunition, journals, and other materials at her house that the police have since discovered. So, Cole, where do you go to school? Trinity? Where's that? All right,
He goes to where?
I go to Trinity. That's on Windy City. Same area as USJ and JCS.
All right. How many people go to that school?
About 700.
Okay. Have you all had active shooter drills?
We've had shooters in the area.
Yeah.
Well, not shooters, but what was it? I think maybe it was a few years ago. Someone had gotten out of prison and was.
You had a lockdown?
Yeah,
at
we had a
school?
lockdown because they were in our area.
Okay. Well, that's all right. Tell me about the layout of the school. Does it have locked doors and all that stuff?
It does. It has doors that can shut off, and then there's doors throughout the hallways that would also get shut and kind of sectionalize
it's
everything.
pretty solid.
Yeah.
Across the country, in the wake of the elementary school shooting in Tennessee, a number of legislatures have taken steps to harden schools and make sure that they are a little bit safer. This technology ranges from panic buttons, video surveillance, and emergency communication systems to having armed officers in the schools. In Missouri, the Missouri House on Thursday approved a 2024 budget with $50 million for school safety grants on top of the $20 million already authorized for school safety in the current year. This will be money that's available for door locking devices, intercom systems, and video surveillance equipment. So that's a sad commentary on the state of our times, but at least the impetus for spending some money to make these schools safer. I believe that Bill Lee has either asked for or indicated he would sign a bill authorizing resource officers for every public school in Tennessee.
Well, since the Columbine shooting, they started this program in Australia, and we were talking a little bit about it yesterday.
Yeah.
And then I said, well, this is a perfect opportunity. This is teaching young Australians resilience and mental fitness.
Right.
And the program, it's called the Black Dog Institute, and the Australian Institute of Sport has partnered to deliver a unique program aimed at building mental health, well-being, and resilience of young Australians. So a lot of times what they're trying to do is get people to think different,
right,
and not get all depressed and, so on and so forth. But when they start throwing drugs down their throat,
yeah,
it's not going to. The program is a free interactive program for high school age young people. They had talked about starting it in the 7th grade, but now they're going to probably the 9th grade, probably the 1st grade of high school. The program is part of a community partnership with AIS and Black Dog Institute and is delivered by elite athletes who have been trained to share their experiences with mental fitness techniques and interact with students to help them learn all about it. So they've got a role model.
Good.
Somebody that those kids probably know who that is, and they're going to look up to him and listen to him or her. The program involves a 45-minute presentation delivered face-to-face or via webinar. I would think face-to-face would be more effective.
Would be better, yeah.
Following the presentation, students are encouraged to complete the Bite Back Mental Fitness Challenge, learn the importance of mental fitness, be shown practical ways to build their mental strength, flexibility, and endurance, take part in activities that can help improve overall well-being and resilience, practice and discuss ways to implement these strategies into their everyday life. So this is just another way of dealing with, these problems, these mental problems that it seems that all of these shooters have.
Yeah.
So that's that. My mama used to tell us, quit feeling sorry for yourself and get up there and do. And that's my mental fitness training
There you go,
so.
right there.
And I'm sure people have similar things. What did your parents tell you, callers?
Give us a call, 731-265-6496. If your parents had something clever to say about mental toughness. My mother used to say, if my younger brothers and sisters were crying, you better stop crying. I'll give you something to cry about.
Heard that too.
Yeah. Let's see, what else? And it's supper time. If you don't clean your plates, you know, there are people starving in India and China. That never made any sense to me. I'm not going to ship it over there.
Yeah.
And whether or not I eat my food is not going to help them at all. But that was one of the things.
If your
they
brother
said.
jumped off a roof, would you?
Yeah. He made it just fine. What is your point? Oh, man. But seriously, I lived at a time in elementary school, the most serious thing that happened was somebody would be caught chewing gum. And that was it. And there were a number of boys who were in Cub Scouts or Boy Scouts, and nearly all of them carried their little Boy Scout Boy Scout or Cub Scout knife to school.
Yeah.
And we didn't stab each other. And we had, in high school, many of us had pickup trucks with a rifle rack in the back. And,
Yeah.
It's a different world. It really is.
Different world. You got that right.
Anyway, San Francisco. I want to go back to 2020 in San Francisco. San Francisco Mayor London Breed announced a budget cut to the San Francisco Police and Sheriff's Department over the next 2 years, which would have been 2021, 2022. She said $120 million in funding would be redirected from law enforcement agencies instead to be spent on addressing disparities in the black community. With this budget, she said, we are listening to the community and prioritizing investments in the African American community around housing, mental health, wellness, workforce development. And she hoped that would solve the problem. Now, just recently, Mayor London Breed is asking for a federal lifeline when it comes to curbing San Francisco's ongoing drug crisis. This is happening as, guess what? The city's police department struggles with understaffing. My hope is we can partner and work together to address this important issue. She admits that San Francisco needs help to slow drug dealing that's happening every day on the streets. She just wrote a letter to the newly appointed U.S. Attorney for Northern California saying the problem is beyond the city's control. We definitely need help. When we look at the police department, it is short-staffed. There's been a whole process of declining arrests, and having the capacity to meet the challenges has been so difficult. Let me suggest, Mayor, it would not have been so difficult if you hadn't been bad-mouthing the police and shifting $120 million to somebody else. But
Karma.
You know what they say about karma. It's a twitch or a witch or something, an itch. I don't know. In any event, she's getting a little dose of it as now she's got an understaffed police department. San Francisco's a mess. At the Tenderloin, they've got all those people laying around, shooting up drugs, urinating, defecating, fornicating in front of schools and in the public parks and everything else like that. And somehow or another, the liberals decided that was progress. That was humane to let people live like that rather than gather them up, force them to get help, or force them to move along. We talked about that. What was it? Where was it? Cuperton, California, where the fella said, we're going to pick you up and you got one chance. You either get treatment or go somewhere else. Yeah. So anyway, that's
I'm wondering if they defecate on the street, if they have to pick it up and put it in a bag, because they make you do it, clean up after your dog.
That's an interesting question. I wish I knew some San Francisco journalists. We could ask them that. But
I'm guessing the answer is no.
Well, that would be a perfect excuse to put them in jail. And I guarantee you, if you let your dog defecate on the street, you don't clean after them, you're going to jail. So anyway, they're all sorted out up there. Anyway, all right, we're coming to the top of the hour. When we come back, we'll have a number of things to talk about. Larry will update us on the weather. We'll talk about Nashville Democrats facing discipline by the Tennessee House of Representatives. and some other things. A lot of things going on today. Joe Manchin feels betrayed by Joe Biden. Imagine that. And a Biden labor secretary nominee who's in trouble. And we'll talk about the health effects of alcohol when we come back. You'll be interested to know what the real health effects of alcohol are. However, before we break for the top of the hour, I just want to remind you, Larry, that the entrepreneurial spirit is alive and well in Florida. Sammy, a housekeeper in Tampa, Florida, is cleaning up with a twist on the usual duties of the job, according to the New York Post. She makes $300 an hour before tips to tidy up a home while topless. Today, she said she'd cleaned 5 houses, and I have a security guy who sits out in the car and waits for me just in case something happens. With tips, she has made more than $2,000 in a day. So, topless maid cleaning service is a winner. The security guy has the sweetest deal. He gets to keep his clothes on and $800 just to sit out in the car.
Wow.
Yes.
Sweet.
Yeah. There you are. You know, and I got to thinking about that when I saw that the other day. That doesn't appear to be illegal to me. Because they're not paying for sex.
Yeah.
It's in a private home.
Right.
And what consenting adults do is nobody else's business. So this could be, if you're inclined for that, this could be a good.
But I'm guarantee you they're rich. The people's houses she's cleaning.
I bet they're clean too.
She's not.
So there you are. Yeah, Cole, don't tell your mother we talked about that. Okay.
$300 an hour. I think I might sign up myself.
Cole perked up when we talked about that. So anyway, that's the entrepreneurial spirit alive and well in Florida. This is Dr. Mark Fowler coming to you from the Gene Langley Ford Studios on Highland Avenue in Jackson, Tennessee. Gene Langley Ford, lifetime guarantees. You can shop online at GeneLangleyFord.com. Gene Langley Ford, they'll treat you right. This is the dealership that service built. Back in just a minute.
This is WBFG 96.5 FM. 96.5 FM. Parker's Crossroads, Jackson.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Former President Trump has pleaded not guilty to nearly 36 counts of falsifying business records in a hush money case. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports from New York.
During an historic courtroom arraignment here in Lower Manhattan, Trump became the first former or current U.S. president to face criminal charges. He was quiet when entering the court building, but spoke the words "not guilty" when informed he was facing 34 counts stemming from payments to Stormy Daniels ahead of the 2016 presidential election. There were no video cameras in the courtroom, but photographs show a serious-looking Trump seated beside his attorneys. Following his appearance here, he plans to return to Florida and make public remarks from his Mar-a-Lago estate later tonight. Greg Clugston, New York.
Also at townhall.com, no need for layoffs at GM after many workers take buyouts. Shelley Adler has more.
About 5,000 white-collar workers at General Motors took the company's buyout offers, so the automaker says that's enough to avoid layoffs at this time. In a statement, GM says the offers will save about $1 billion per year in costs, about half of the $2 billion it wants to cut annually by the end of next year. The company now has about 58,000 salaried workers in the country. The buyouts come at an uncertain time for the auto industry, which is in the middle of a transition from internal combustion to electric vehicles. I'm Shelley Adler.
The red-hot job market is cooling off. Job openings slipped to 9.9 million last month, the fewest since March of 2021. It's a sign the job market may be starting to respond to Federal Reserve interest rate hikes. The Dow finished down 198 points, the NASDAQ off 63. More at townhall.com.
Dennis Prager here. Sue and I mean it when we say dogs are part of our family. We love Otto and Snoopy so much
and there's nothing like their loyal companionship. So we provide them with Rough Greens, RUFF, because we want them to feel healthy and be with us as long as possible. I know Charlie Kirk feels the same way.
The Pragers and I couldn't agree more. I rely on my trusted furry friend, Mr. Briggs, who's an absolute machine, and he relies on me to provide what's best for him. Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black has packed Rough Greens, not a dog food, but a supplement full of vitamins, minerals, digestive enzymes, and omega oils that Mr. Briggs absolutely needs and loves. Trying Rough Greens for your dog just makes sense.
Greetings, Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black here. I'm honored that the Pragers and Charlie trust their dog's health to Rough Green. I'm so confident that Rough Greens can help your dog too that I'm offering you a free Jumpstart trial bag. Just cover the shipping. Yes, dog food is dead food, but it doesn't have to be. Go to ruffgreens.com.
Florida, the latest state to approve a heartbeat bill.
The bill, which passed the state Senate by a 26-13 vote, now heads to the state House. It offers protections for unborn babies beginning at 6 weeks gestation. The bill also provides for exceptions including rape, incest, human trafficking, and the life of the mother, and does not allow the mailing of dangerous abortion pills. Keith Peters reporting.
A company building a long-delayed natural gas pipeline has lost a key water permit. A federal appeals court ruled that West Virginia didn't adequately assess the impact of building the Mountain Valley Pipeline across streams and wetlands. The Fourth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals sided with environmental groups. That court said the agency did not adequately address the project's history of water quality violations and relied on the wrong standards. The permit is required under the Federal Clean Water Act. Breaking news at townhall.com. British billionaire Sir Richard Branson's rocket company, Virgin Orbit, filing for bankruptcy in the U.S. after failing to secure new investment.
Sir Richard Branson's Virgin Orbit, the satellite launch company, halted operations weeks ago and announced it would cut 85% of its workforce. Now it has filed for bankruptcy in the US after failing to secure fresh investment. Earlier this year, Virgin Orbit rocket failed to complete its first ever satellite launch from UK soil. The mission had been billed as a milestone for UK space exploration, and it was hoped it would mark a major step in the country's satellite manufacturing and rocket building. But the company has had financial troubles and said despite great efforts to address them, filing for bankruptcy was the best move.
BBC correspondent Michael Race. Community colleges, they're in trouble. Enrollment has fallen 37% since 2010. Their completion rate's dismal. Nearly half of students drop out. More on these stories at townhall.com. I'm John Scott.
What's better than 20% over invoice, or 15% over invoice, or 10% over invoice? How about 0% over invoice? Wait, did I just say 0% over invoice? Hi, this is Sarah Beth Langley at Jean Langley Ford in Humboldt. As your authorized Ford ordering dealer, Jean Langley Ford, in partnership with Ford Motor Company, is accepting new orders at invoice. So our price is your price. There's never been a better time to order your new Ford. Come see us today for details and let's get your new Ford car, truck, or SUV on its way to your driveway. Struggling with credit issues? Not here. Our finance department can work magic to get you approved. Plus, every new Ford comes with a lifetime powertrain warranty. And if you're looking for a pre-owned car, truck, or SUV, check out the great selection on our lot and online. Updated daily at JeanLangleyFord.com. And remember, March is Ford Truck Month. You really should try Jean Langley Ford before you buy. The dealership service bill.
That cost offer excludes Mustang GT500 and Raptor. See dealer for warranty and financing.
If you're in business, you know just how important each call is. You don't have time for phone or internet downtime. Your business needs a reliable communications partner 24/7. You need Lifeline Voice and Data. Lifeline Voice and Data provides telephone service to emergency service facilities all over West Tennessee and beyond. For your business, we don't just provide a phone line. We provide a lifeline. Lifeline Voice and Data.
Hi, my name's Dawn. I have been taking BioT at Advanced Medical. My moods are better. I sleep well. My husband has complimented me on the mood swings that are no longer affecting our marriage.
Are these problems affecting your work, your relationships, and your quality of life? You'll be happy to know there's an exciting, natural solution available called BioT. BioT uses a natural way for men and women to correct these problems by safely and accurately balancing hormone levels without the use of synthetic injections or cream.
I got blood work done, and they identified what hormones were out of balance. They gave me the bioidentical hormone pellets through BioT, and now I have more energy, no more brain fog, I'm sleeping better, and I feel like my old self again. I would recommend Advanced Rehab and Medical and their BioT program to anyone suffering with symptoms like mine. It's been life-changing.
To book your appointment, call 731-462-8580. That's 731-462-8580.
News Talk 96.5 FM weather presented by Dustin Rain. Dustin buys houses fast for cash. Call Dustin now, 731-200-1362. Tuesday brings partly sunny skies, breezy and warm. High temps in the mid-80s. Winds, 15 to 20, gusting up to 30 miles per hour. Mostly cloudy overnight. Showers likely with a slight chance of thunderstorms after midnight. Low of 70. Wind gusts up to 40 miles per hour are possible. Dustin Ring. Dustin buys houses fast for cash. Call Dustin now, 731-200-1362. DustinBuys.com.
News Talk West Tennessee includes NewsTalk965.com and Newstalk 96.5 FM, covering local news, sports, and weather on an extensive network of platforms, including radio, social media streaming, digital TV, live stream, podcasts, all on your devices. Our local and live weekday lineup includes Daybreak with Greg Wood and G-Unit, Walker Talks with Chuck Walker and Julie Holt, The Dan Reeves Show with Gina Langley and Larry Newman, Dave Ramsey, Jackson-Madison County Schools Game of the Week, UT Vols Sports, and the Memphis Grizzlies. Local, live, News Talk West Tennessee and NewsTalk965.com. Hear it first on News Talk 96.5 FM. We might be talking about you.
This is Dr. Mark Fowler sitting in for Dan Reeves on the Dan Reeves Show. We're coming to you from Gene Langley Ford Studios at 2152 Highland Avenue in Jackson, Tennessee. With me is Larry Newman, keeping us out of the ditches, and our good friend Cole, who is filling the room with the fragrant scent of Chick-fil-A, but not offering to share, and we're going to call his mother when this is all over with and discuss this with him. And I bet hopefully this won't happen again. But
see, they can see on television that he's trying to share, and you're turning your back.
It's false accusations then, isn't it? Okay. I guess you feel like Donald Trump now, don't you, Cole?
Yep.
All right. Anyway, the other day we had Chris Todd, a local state representative, on the telephone with us talking about the events after the shooting at the floor of the House. After the shooting, a number of students went to protest, and while doing so, two House members grabbed a bullhorn and began to disrupt business on the floor. The those were Democrats, and the Tennessee Republican lawmakers have taken the first steps to expel the Democratic members from the GOP-dominant House for their role in a recent gun control protest. This is an extraordinarily rare move and resulted in a chaotic and fiery confrontation between lawmakers and supporters opposing the move, and has further fractured an already deep political division in the Tennessee legislature. Resolutions have been filed against Representative Gloria Johnson, Justin Jones, and Justin Pearson, all Democrats, after they led chants from the House floor with supporters in the gallery last Thursday. The resolution declared that the three had participated in disorderly behavior and did knowingly and intentionally bring disorder and dishonor to the House of Representatives. The resolution was filed by Republicans Bud Holsey, Gino Bulso, and Andrew Farmer, and they successfully requested Monday that the House expedite the process and vote on the resolutions Thursday. That's interesting. This prompted loud jeers from the gallery, people watching the gallery, and Speaker Cameron Sexton insisted that the observers be removed by state troopers. Also, during the turmoil, several lawmakers engaged in a confrontation on the House floor And Jones later accused another member of stealing his phone and trying to incite a riot. So it seems to me to be a little bit drastic. Expulsion from the house means that they're kicked out of the house. Larry, what do you think?
Kick them out.
You think so?
Yeah, why not? Either that or get a couple of nuns in there with the rulers, spank their hand.
Slapping them on the wrist, and there's a possibility right there.
Well, here's something I found the other day. If you put 100 black ants and 100 red ants in a jar, nothing will happen.
Right.
But if you shake the jar hard, the ants will start killing each other. The red ants will consider the black ants their enemies, and the black ants will consider the red ants their enemies. The real enemy is the one who shakes the jar.
Okay.
The same thing happens in human society. Before we attack each other, we should think about who's shaking the jar.
Yeah, well, Dan talks about that all the time. That's an interesting observation.
Just something else, another way to think about it. Who's shaking the jar? Because somebody is.
Yeah, it comes down, you want your business to be conducted in a manner that brings decency, or as much decency as you can, to the process. You don't want complete chaos. You don't want it any chaotic than it is already. And so when people start taking bullhorns to the floor and start leading chants, I don't think that's very productive. However,
no, I don't either.
Expulsion may be a little severe. The Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton, has confirmed that the 3 lawmakers facing the expulsion had already been stripped of their committee assignments and said more punishments could be on the way. So Pearson and Jones are both freshman lawmakers. Johnson has served in the House since 2019, and all have been highly critical of the Republican supermajority. Jones was temporarily banned from the Tennessee Capitol after throwing a cup of liquid at House Speaker Glenn Casada. Well, I suppose in that posture, maybe expulsion's not a bad idea. But anyway, but still, you'd like to see 2 things. You'd like to see politicians quit tearing at each other and dividing us, and you'd like to see them actually attack the problems at hand and do something about them.
Maybe put them on probation for a week or 2.
Yeah. Well, that's enough.
Where they can sit up in the balcony with tape over their mouth and tied to their chairs.
Well, you just a political hack now.
Hey.
You're talking about punishment, severe punishment. Anyway, we'll follow that story and see what happens. Joe Manchin is upset with your best friend forever, Joe Biden. Joe Manchin was the critical vote on one of the pieces of legislation. The $793 billion legislative package was supposed to have addressed health care and climate, raise taxes on high earners and corporations, and more specifically, reduce the federal debt. Manchin is dismayed, shocked, he says, to discover that instead of reducing the federal debt, the executive branch is actually spending the money in unauthorized ways. He now admits to having been naive about the Biden administration's objectives. Now, here's some critical figures. The national debt stands at $31.5 trillion, or $95,000 for every man, woman, and child. By the way, Cole, you can just pay your $95,000 to me, and I'll take it to Washington. Okay.
Sounds great.
All right, yeah, we'll take care of that right
Hey,
away.
Dad, I need $95,000.
Yeah, well, just take your name off the list, Cole. You won't have to worry about it. You can trust me. Anyway, annual budgetary deficits have averaged $2.71 trillion since October 2019, when COVID-19 began, and we have added more than $8 trillion to the national debt. Despite explicit direction from Congress to pay down the debt in the Inflation Reduction Act, the administration seems more determined than ever to pervert that law and abuse existing authorities to increase spending. Consequently, or maybe coincidentally, China is using the runaway national debt, United States national debt, as an excuse for its pursuit of de-dollarization and ending the greenback's almost 80-year reign as the world's reserve currency. The Global Times based the U.S. government's inability to balance its books for the push to end the dollar status. Now, what's the significance of that? Debt is now traded in dollars. And on the Democrats' watch, two things have happened. The debt or the credit rating of the United States was downgraded during Obama's administration. Do you remember that when that happened?
Yeah.
And that was because of debt, because Obama doubled the entire U.S. debt during the course of his term. It was then at like 22 trillion, and now it's at 31 trillion. So Washington has been spending money it does not have. Brazil, China, India have joined together to trade their debt in the Chinese yen. This will weaken the dollar's status as the world gold standard for trade, and is probably not a bad move if you're from Brazil and China, but it does actually diminish the United States a little bit in terms of its ability to trade dollars. So imagine Joe Biden not living up to his word. I know you're shocked.
I'm shocked.
Anyway,
I've had a talk with him about that.
Have you sorted him out?
No, he forgets what I say.
Not listening to you.
No, and then the cacklers over there going.
Well, anyway, that's just, we are digging ourselves a hole, and we may not be able to dig ourselves out of it. Do you know, 80 years ago, do you know what the standard currency was?
No.
I'd be willing to bet it was the British pound, because Britain was the leader in world finance. And 80 years ago would have been, what, 1940?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'd be willing to bet it was the British pound at the time. And then they, if you had come to the British in 1939 and said, hey, in a few years you will no longer be a world power, they'd have said the sun never sets on the British Empire. But now look where they are. And that's where we're headed. We are spending money we don't have.
I know so many states have to have a balanced budget.
Right.
So why doesn't the United States have to have a balanced budget?
They should, and they should. But making that step will produce a cataclysmic contraction of the United States economy. It would have to be done gradually. But the signal it would send would be very dramatic in terms of promoting business, freeing up the labor market. Freeing up the credit market. Here's the thing. When the United States borrows money, it is soaking up credit that other entities might well have used. Now, oftentimes, this credit is soaked up by China and other countries. China has a significant portion of our debt. But when businesses and governments are competing on the credit market and the United States soaks up all the credit because it's virtually no risk, then that puts everybody else in trouble. And then, on the other hand, when the United States sets the interest rate at zero or next to zero, that causes distortions in the market as well. So the heavy hand of government seldom works for the benefit of anybody else. What you got? What's it?
Cole,
our trusty intern, says before 1944, the world reference currency was the United Kingdom's pound sterling. I thought it was.
You were correct, sir.
All right.
But you didn't put it in the form of a question, so we can't give you credit for it.
What is the pound sterling? I should have said that. Joe Biden has nominated a left-wing radical, Julie Su, to formally lead. She's presently the acting labor secretary, and she has been nominated to serve as the labor secretary for the Department of Labor. But her appointment has been opposed by small business owners, contract workers, freelancers, franchisees have kicked off a nationwide push to derail that nomination. The stand against Sue was launched as the Senate prepares to consider her appointment to formally lead the department. Critics cite her support for tightening employment regulations in California when she ran the state's main labor agency, which they say makes her an enemy of both companies and employees. So this woman has managed to offend everybody in sight. So she will going to have a tough time. Let me see. They nominated somebody to serve as the FAA Director of Security or Safety who had no experience in airline safety as well. He was derailed. And was there another one that was derailed recently?
I can't think of who it would be.
Okay. I thought there was somebody somewhere that was derailed. But in any event, Brit Hume, who is an established, credible Washington commentator, indicated the other day that in his opinion, the Biden cabinet was the weakest cabinet he had ever seen in the 40 years he had been observing Washington, reporting on Washington comings and going. So it is. They've got Pete Buttigieg, who's absolutely worthless. They've got Jennifer Granholm, the energy secretary. She doesn't know anything. Let's see. Here we go. Biden's pick to head the FAA administration withdraws his name from nomination. His entire experience was running an airport, which is entirely different from running the FAA. So he did not have sufficient experience. I don't think he was a pilot either, and characteristically they want a pilot. So that was one thing that happened there. And now Jennifer Sue is in trouble. And this frequently happens if you've ever listened to those Senate hearings where they question these nominees. Biden has nominated a number of people who are extraordinarily radical and have said some extraordinarily partisan things. And then this comes to light and they say stuff like, well, I deeply regret, or I didn't mean it at the time, or the usual, that's taken out of context. When in fact, if you just look at what they said, the context was very clear. So this business of nominating these far left people for these different positions is not playing very well. Going to take a break in just a second. We'll come back and we'll talk about other things in the news, including the price of oil and Saudi Arabia's production announcement, and we'll give you the real story on alcohol. You're listening to Mark W. Fowler, talking to you from the Gene Langley Chick-fil-A studios where the smell of Chick-fil-A permeates the entire studio. We'll come back and visit with you in just a few minutes. Stay tuned.
CWA Development is a reliable and experienced company that provides a wide range of maintenance, restoration, and renovation services for both commercial and residential customers. Fire and water damage restoration, plumbing, drywall insulation and repair, gutter and roof cleaning, power washing, fence and deck repairs, and a whole lot more. CWA Development. They emphasize their commitment to customer satisfaction through integrity and excellence. Licensed and insured for their work. CWA Development are available for calls Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. and on Sundays for emergencies. CWA has a combined experience of over 80 years, commercial and residential maintenance, as well as restoration and renovation. CWA strives for your satisfaction with service focused on integrity and excellence. Call CWA today at 731-503-9598. Call CWA today, 731-503-9598. CWA Development.
Vintage doesn't always mean long-lasting. As your home systems age, your repair costs, utility bills, and breakdowns rise. During Hiller's Vintage Showdown, we're giving away a free new system to the owner of the oldest HVAC unit. Submit a picture of your old equipment online to see if you qualify as the winner. Everybody wins with trade-in credits plus 0% financing for up to 48 months with approved credit on select new HVAC systems. Enter to win now at happyhiller.com.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Hi, my name's Dawn. I have been taking BioT at Advanced Medical. My moods are better. I sleep well. My husband has complimented me on the mood swings that are no longer affecting our marriage.
Are these problems affecting your work, your relationships, and your quality of life? You'll be happy to know there's an exciting, natural solution available called BioT. BioT uses a natural way for men and women to correct these problems by safely and accurately balancing hormone levels without the use of synthetic injections or cream.
I got blood work done, and they identified what hormones were out of balance. They gave me the bioidentical hormone pellets through BioT, and now I have more energy, no more brain fog. I'm sleeping better, and I feel like my old self again. I would recommend Advanced Rehab and Medical and their BioT program to anyone suffering with symptoms like mine. It's been life-changing.
To book your appointment, call 731-462-5787. 8580. That's 731-462-8580.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Central Distributors, Jackson.
Is your office or home office in need of a new printer, copier, fax, or multifunction machine? Do you need business cards, envelopes, or office supplies? Are you looking to upgrade to new office furniture? Office World Incorporated in Trenton has been serving all of the Gibson County and the West Tennessee area for over 65 years. Office World is a franchise partner of OfficeZilla. Call today, 731-855-9131, or email officeworldinc@gmail.com.
Award-winning Watson's Cleaning Service specializes in commercial and residential cleaning. Watson's cleans huge commercial buildings, West Tennessee Agriculture and Education Center, the Federal Court Building in downtown Jackson. Watson's also specializes in residential cleaning services, stripping and waxing floors, buffing, pulling trash, sweeping and mopping, vacuuming, household cleaning, baseboards, walls, dishes, dusting and organizing. Call 731-293-3808. Family owned and operated Watson's Cleaning Services. 293-3808.
When you need a heart expert, you need an expert with heart. Corbin Cardiology is dedicated to providing the highest quality cardiovascular care in West Tennessee. At Corbin Cardiology, our patient-centered approach, along with a full array of diagnostic imaging services, sets us apart from other cardiovascular clinics. Corbin Cardiology has clinics in Bartlett, Dyersburg, Lexington, and the newest location is now open in Jackson at 58 Murray Guard Drive. To schedule an appointment in office or by telemedicine, visit CorbinCardiology.com
or call 731-513-5701.
If you're in business, you know just how important each call is. You don't have time for phone or internet downtime. Your business needs a reliable communications partner 24/7. You need Lifeline Voice and Data. Lifeline Voice and Data provides telephone service to emergency service facilities all over West Tennessee and beyond. For your business, we don't just provide a phone line. We provide a lifeline. Lifeline Voice and Data.
This is Dr. Mark Fowler. It's the Dan Reeves Show. I'm sitting in for Dan, who's out taking care of business. We're coming to you from the Gene Langley Ford Studios. Gene Langley Ford in Humboldt, Tennessee at 3500 East End Drive. Family owned and operated. That's so important these days. You can shop online for new and used cars at GeneLangleyFord.com. Give Gene Langley Ford a try before you buy. They're going to treat you right. The dealership, that service built. Our phone line is 731-265-6496. Our phone line sponsor is CWA Development. It's time for spring cleaning. Time to clean those roofs, gutters. Time to restore water damage, fire damage if you have any. Time to attend the leaky plumbing. Do wood repairs, including fence and deck repairs. Time to get your property ready for the summer season. CWA Development is specialists in renovation and restoration, open Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Sundays for emergencies, and they can be reached at 503-9598. The text line sponsorship is Advanced Rehab and Medical. Go see our good friends, Shannon Bone at Advanced Rehab here in Jackson, Tennessee. If you have chronic back pain, neck pain, or other types of medical problems of this nature, go see Dr. Bone, one of the world's premier chiropractors, and we're lucky to have him here in Jackson. You can call for a free consultation at 731-664-6998. That's Advanced Rehab and Medical. They also have an urgent care clinic on the other side of his clinic. So if you have a rash, you have tooth infections, skin infections, eye infections, ear problems, go out and see them and they'll take care of you. Most of our listeners are aware that the United States consumes approximately 18 million barrels of oil a day. Unfortunately, the prior administration had us oil or energy independent. The present administration has closed down the pipeline, has put limitations on leases, and has taken other steps to reduce oil production in this chaotic attempt to fight global warming. The fact of the matter is the economy, the technology is not ready to take on global warming by entirely abandoning fossil fuels. Adding to the pressure on fossil fuels, in addition to the Biden administration's restriction of production, the Saudi Arabia's indicated that oil is in the spotlight, and the Saudi-led group of producers said it would cut more than 1 million barrels of daily output starting next month. Shares of major energy companies, including Chevron, ExxonMobil, and others, rose Monday in response to the news. Stocks started the quarter mixed, with the Dow up about 200 points and the NASDAQ down after ending March with a bang. But it's unfortunate but true that increasing oil prices makes everything else go up. We were in a position from a strategic standpoint to be oil independent, fossil fuel independent, energy independent. And now that has all changed, and we're having to compete with many other people on the market, including unreliable suppliers like Venezuela, Iran, Iraq, the Soviet Union, and we're competing with China. So the diminution of oil supplies means that higher pump prices are coming shortly, all of which was avoidable. Complicating this additionally is the fact that Joe Biden used the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to reduce oil prices rather than increasing production. As a consequence, the Strategic Oil Reserve is essentially at its lowest level in 40 some odd years. So this raises significant questions for the United States security. Larry, let's get to the weather in just a couple minutes. I'll give you a chance to pick that up. We're watching for storms in this season, and Larry's going to update us just a little bit, see what's happening.
I'm ready to go.
Go ahead.
And then it went off when I said that. Currently in Jackson, Tennessee, it's 84 degrees. It feels like 86. The high today was 85. The low tonight will be 72. The barometric pressure in Bemis is 29.77. Tonight it'll be mostly cloudy, a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms after midnight. Some thunderstorms may be severe, with gusty winds, frequent lightning, and heavy rainfall. Breezy with lows around 70, south winds 15 to 20 miles an hour, with gusts up to 40 miles per hour. Chance of rain 20%, and let's see, we've got two warnings here. Weather alerts, a wind advisory from 2:16 today until 4 p.m. Tomorrow, and then the other one's a pollen alert. So, but everything that's going on is we're in a little bit of it, but not much.
Until tomorrow? Is tomorrow worse?
No, tomorrow's going to be nice.
Okay.
So this is it's 4 p.m., but it was windy when I left the house.
Yeah,
I mean, I had to
bit.
push against the door to get the screen to open because the wind was blowing so hard. So,
All right.
just
Very good.
just stay safe. That's the main thing.
We've got Cole with us today, who is an 8th grader. He's an intern at the radio station. Cole, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where do you go to school?
I go to Trinity. I play football, and I'm on the skeet shooting team there.
Skeet shooting team.
Yep.
All right. That's interesting. That's tell us a little bit about skeet. There's skeet and trap.
Skeet, trap, and then we don't have it at our practice fields, but in tournaments, some of them, we have the option to do sporting clays.
Sporting clays.
Yep.
Okay. So skeet, tell us a little bit about the layout for skeet. How does that work?
There's 2 towers. At each station, you shoot a low. The skeet goes from low to high, and then you shoot a high one that goes high to low. And and then you shoot a double.
Now, how many stations are there?
5.
5 stations. Okay.
Yep.
So you shoot a low to high, a high to low, which come out of opposite towers.
Yep.
Okay. And then you shoot
a double.
A double.
So one comes from the low and one comes from the high. At
Okay.
the exact same time. And yeah, you have 2 shells in your shotgun. You got to hit them both.
Got to hit them both.
Each
Okay.
count.
So you use double barrels as opposed to semi-automatics?
You can use either.
Okay.
I have it over and under, but my first 2 years, I did use the semi-automatic.
And 12 gauge?
Yep.
Okay.
12, 20, 410.
Really?
Whatever.
Anybody shoot a 410 on your team?
I know 2 years ago, there was someone with the 410.
How did he do?
There. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure.
Well, now, do you hunt at all, Cole?
I do.
What kind of things do you hunt?
Anything.
Anything.
Anything on our farm. We also trap and fish.
Okay. Have you ever been quail hunting on one of those managed quail hunts?
I've not been quail hunting. The closest thing I've done is dove hunting. We have a dove field.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I do duck hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Occasionally, I'll go off to South Dakota for pheasant hunting, and I do quail hunting. But when I go quail hunting, I use a 28 gauge.
Oh, okay.
Now, a 28 gauge actually will throw a heavy load 28 will throw about an ounce of ounce of lead.
Uh-huh.
And that's the low end of the 12 gauge shell as well. You can get an ounce and a quarter ounce, and I think you can get a 1 ounce lead load. But I shoot a 28, and what I like about that is my duck hunting partners can outshoot me at duck hunting, but I can really outshoot them at quail hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've enjoyed that down. So you do doves and you do what else?
Dove, deer, turkey.
How many turkeys have you killed?
So I have 3/4 of my Grand Slam. I need to kill a Rio.
Yeah.
And then I'll have my Grand Slam.
Which is 4 turkeys of what kind?
There's Eastern turkeys, which are here. Osceola is in Florida and like swampier areas.
Okay.
There's Miriam turkeys, which I killed in Nebraska last year. And then the Rio turkey is in more, I think that's around like Texas.
Texas and New Mexico?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Southwestern.
Okay, good. So what is your average score on skeet?
I'm not sure. I haven't shot skeet this year.
Cole, I think you're shading me now just a little bit.
Trap drastically improved this year, so I don't want to.
You don't want to mess it
myself.
Up. All right.
On
now,
skeet.
trap is different.
Yeah, trap is a lot different.
You just have one house that throws the targets.
5 stations. You shoot 5 shots at each station.
Right.
The throwers swing side to side.
Right.
And then it throws out.
Yeah. Does it throw out doubles too?
No, you don't shoot doubles on trap.
Okay.
Doubles are for skeet and sporting clays.
Okay. Now tell us about sporting clays. Do you do that?
Yep. Sporting clays, it's a lot more like it symbolizes like actual hunting.
Right. So multiple stations, I bet.
Yeah. So the main course I always go to is in Lone Oak. There's a tournament there coming up in a few weeks for FCA.
Okay.
Answer that real quick. Gosh.
Do you walk during sporting clays?
Yeah, most people rent golf carts. It's like a mini golf course for shooting.
Okay.
So you don't know where the stations are, and the birds can fly super high. You have some that represent rabbits that roll on the ground.
Right. Well, how do you know when to get off the golf cart? You're not shooting from a moving golf cart.
No, there's different stations throughout the woods or throughout the course.
All right, good.
You'd hop off, get ready.
Now, what kind of shotgun do you use? You said double barrel, but
I have a Krieghoff. It's a 12 gauge over and under.
Okay, good.
It's a good shooting gun.
What chokes do you use?
I used an improved cylinder.
For both barrels?
No, my other one, it's a little bit tighter.
Probably a modified.
Yeah, a modified.
Okay,
that's what it is.
Good. So you're in the 8th grade, so you've got a little while to warm up before you get to the big time, right?
Yep, I got 4 more years after this season.
Well, congratulations. That's fantastic. And I bet a big aspect of your experience is gun safety as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Good for you. All right, Larry, the news that we've all been waiting for. When I was in medical school, the first day they said to us, about half of what we are teaching you today will be wrong, and we'll have to change it in a few years. The problem is we don't know which half that is. And what he was talking about was such things as aspirin. Aspirin used to be indicated for high blood pressure.
Right.
Primary prevention of high blood pressure means that aspirin, you should take aspirin if you've never had a heart attack and you have high blood pressure. They have since discovered that when they measure the numbers, and this is thousands of patients and many, many, many studies, that primary prevention, that aspirin is not effective in primary prevention. Now, many people still take it, but the wrinkle is this. Aspirin puts about 30,000 people a year in the hospital with GI bleeding. So that's a significant adverse effect of aspirin. And the numbers on the primary prevention of heart attacks were not all that impressive. So they no longer recommend it. Now, if you've already had a heart attack or a stroke, aspirin is good to prevent. That's called secondary prevention. Well, the question was years ago, how much alcohol is good for you? How much alcohol is bad for you? And now it appears that the jury verdict is in. Bottom line, a little alcohol won't kill you or make you stronger. The study says people who drink a little don't die sooner than people who never drank. But overall, alcohol does more harm than good. Pay attention, Cole. This is important. An occasional drink of alcohol here and there probably won't kill you, but it won't help you live longer either. And there used to be some information that suggested drinking red wine was good for you because of the antioxidant effects. That is no longer the case. We don't believe that anymore. A study published Friday in the journal JAMA Network Open, researchers set out to make sense of years of conflicting evidence on alcohol's effect on health. Some research suggested that drinking alcohol improves life expectancy. Others demonstrated a poorer health outcomes at any level of drinking. The researchers analyzed 107 studies on the effect of alcohol in nearly 5 million people and found that no amount of alcohol consumption led to longer life among people who never drank, or compared to people who never drank. People who drank 45 grams of alcohol or more a day, about 3 glasses of wine, increased their risk of dying sooner by up to a third, and among women, any more than 25 grams of alcohol increased their risk of dying sooner. That would be 1 glass. Alcohol is linked to more than 200 diseases. So if you drink occasionally, defined as men less than 3 drinks a day, women less than 1 drink a day, you're probably not going to hurt yourself, but you're not going to live longer. So you'll have to take that off the board. Anyway, I guess Jack Daniels won't be pleased to hear that. Jack Daniels and some of those other folks. Problems in Costa Rica. In Costa Rica, at Limon, Costa Rica, where cruise ship passengers are whisked to jungle adventures. In Costa Rica's interior, locals try to be home by dark, and the police patrol with high-caliber guns in the face of soaring drug violence. Costa Rica logged a record 657 homicides last year, and Limon, with homicide rates of Limon has a homicide rate 5 times higher than national average. The bloodshed in a country otherwise known for its laid-back, all-good outlook and its lack of standing army has stirred a public outcry as the administration of President Rodrigo Chavez scrambles for answers. Costa Rica had previously been just a pass-through for northbound cocaine from Colombian and Mexican cartels, but now it's a warehousing and transshipment point for drugs sent to Europe by homegrown Costa Rica gangs. That criminal dynamic, mixed with swelling ranks of young unemployed men who make up the majority of casualties in the territorial balance, has swelled the drug rolls. When we be back, we will talk some more about Peruvian deforestation, U.S.-Taiwanese relations, and artificial intelligence. You're listening to Dr. Mark Fowler. This is 96.5 News Talk Radio.
Looking to add a little spice to your love life?
Nothing adds spice like gunpowder.
Jackson's only indoor shooting range, date night at the range. Here's what you lovebirds get: a shooting lane for two targets, 100 rounds of ammo, eye and ear protection, and a $30 gift certificate to Texas Roadhouse, all for just $99.99.
Now that's firepower.
Perfect for a gift card from The Range. The Range, 2310 North Highland Avenue in Jackson.
Go to therange.com.
Hi, I'm Terica Smith, a local attorney and proud JMCSS graduate, but I'm also a JMCSS parent. We chose Jackson Madison County Schools for educational options that are innovative and challenging. Whether it's the Academic Academy at Northeast or early college and career opportunities at JCM Early College High, JMCSS offers classes and programs that will prepare my son for college and beyond. Plus, JMCSS is a Level 5 district and tuition free. It just makes sense.
Hi, I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for the Jackson-Madison County School System. With an increased focus in the fine arts, athletics, workforce development, and early career opportunities for students, there's never been a better time to choose us. Tuition-free, Jackson-Madison County Schools. Visit jmcss.org today to schedule a tour or call 731-345-7011.
They say consistency is the key to success. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently refreshing and light? Michelob Ultra, only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Central Distributors, Jackson.
Hey, y'all. This is Mary at Mulligan's. Come see us soon before the new wears off. Hard to believe, but we're coming upon an anniversary in our locally family-owned business at Union University Drive. We still have our daily lunch specials, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., which will remind you of Grandma's cooking. Or try our Irish dishes, fish and chips, Reuben's and shepherd's pie, or everyone's favorite, the Mully Burger. And how about brunch on Saturdays and Sundays? Yep, every weekend, serving Jackson for over 25 years. See you soon at Mulligan's.
The Rocket is coming to Jackson April 13th, Meridian Baptist Church. Roger Clemens will be the guest at the 4th annual benefit to the Trey Lindsay Scholarship. Roger Clemens has an unprecedented 7 Cy Young Awards, 354 wins, and 4,672 strikeouts. Clemens' career spanned 24 years with the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Blue Jays, and Astros. The 11-time All-Star, winning 2 World Series with the New York Yankees. Silent auction is huge with sports celebrity memorabilia along with hunts, duck calls, vacation packages, restaurant packages, and more. Follow posts on Facebook mentioning items leading up to the event. Call 731-217-7187, 731-217-7187 for table sponsor or ticket information. Brought to you by WorkCare Resources and News Talk 96.5 FM and NewsTalkWTN.com.
Not too expensive, nothing too fancy, just an authentic Italian family recipe served up piping hot, just like a pizza pie should be. Locally owned and operated Carico's Pizza, home of the $8 lunch special. 2 slices and a drink for just $8. Buy the slice or the 28-inch monster, perfect for the ball game. Carico's Pizza, 1370 Union University Drive. For catering, call 731-240-1033. For the full menu, visit caricospizza.com. CWA Development is a reliable and experienced company that provides a wide range of maintenance, restoration, and renovation services for both commercial and residential customers. Fire and water damage restoration, plumbing, drywall insulation and repair, gutter and roof cleaning, power washing, fence and deck repairs, and a whole lot more. CWA Development. They emphasize their commitment to customer satisfaction through integrity and excellence. Licensed and insured for their work. CWA Development are available for calls Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. and on Sundays for emergencies. CWA has a combined experience of over 80 years, commercial and residential maintenance, as well as restoration and renovation. CWA strives for your satisfaction with service focused on integrity and excellence. Call CWA today at 731-503-9598. Call CWA today, 731-503-9598. CWA Development.
96.5 FM. Home of the Dan Reeves Show.
Weekday afternoons, 3 till 6.
Good afternoon. This is Dr. Mark Fowler coming to you from the Gene Langley Ford Studios at 2152 Highland Avenue in Jackson, Tennessee. With me is Larry Newman, keeping us out of the ditches, and my good friend Cole, who is an 8th grader at
Trinity.
Read his shirt.
Yeah, look at his shirt. Okay, good. What do you want to be when you get out of school?
I'm not sure.
You're not? What are you interested in?
I don't really know.
Okay. All right. Sports?
Yeah.
Apart from sports and girls, because you can't make money doing that. But apart from that, what do you want to do?
I might chase that $300 an hour job we were discussing earlier.
Yeah. Just clean houses and a Speedo. That's good money.
Yeah.
No, he'd be the car sitter.
Well, he could do the car seater too. Well, looks like those are 2 options available to you. Go. That's all right.
Praying my parents aren't listening.
Yeah, my youngest daughter, who's now finishing medical school, used to tell me, I would ask her when she was about your age, just to get on my nerves, she'd say, well, I want to be a hobo. But now she's going to be an obstetrician. So anyway.
Well.
And they're not necessarily the same thing.
Worked out well.
Signature Bank. Larry, I know this is going to be shocking to you. Your good friends at Signature Bank, the management team at Signature Bank sold $100 million in stock during the crypto surge. They, let's see, how did they do this? The bank pivoted to attract cryptocurrency companies and became a stock market darling. Sales over the past 3 years by the bank's chairman, its former CEO, and his successor accounted for about half of the amount sold. So they were seeking business with cryptocurrency companies. And as they did so, they made a lot of money. Their stock went up. And so then they turned around and sold the Signature Bank stock. Now, apart from that, they were also heavily involved in diversity, equity, and inclusion, and managed to drive that bank right into the ground. They gave $70 million to Black Lives Matter, which made them feel really good. But now the bank is bankrupt, and somebody ought to be looking at some of these people to cough up some of that money, pay it back. You got a caller?
Yes, sir.
All right, caller. This is Dr. Mark Fowler. You're on the air. Go.
Well, hi, Dr. Mark Fowler. Josh, I heard what you were saying. I wanted to ask if you had heard of the value exchange tokens called non-fungible tokens, or NFTs.
No, I've not heard of that. Tell us about that.
Well, there's fungible money and there's non-fungible money. Non-fungible can't be copied, and it's like that's true. Like original value originates, and it's how we issue the. It's very interesting. For example, like it's got to do with the Web 3.0 and the advancement of technology and science and evonomics. It's kind of it's interesting, man.
It sounds
interesting. Like a piece of digital art.
Yeah. How you doing these days?
Token.
You doing all right?
Oh, wonderful, man. Yeah. It's
doing
nice
fine.
weather.
Yes, it is. Well, listen, thanks for your call, and appreciate your comments. This is Dr. Mark Fowler at Gene Langley Ford Studios. The call-in line number is 731-265-6496. Looking at these bankers, Chairman Scott Shea called himself a crypto enthusiast at a conference in 2022. He sketched out the initial idea for cryptocurrency, which to me is just a Ponzi scheme. He chaired the risk committee, the bank's board of directors. He sold $5.4 million of stock in 2021, sold almost none in 2020, bought some in 2021, and turned some around just before the bank collapsed. These guys were trading in millions of dollars worth of stock based on cryptocurrency business. That's really, really interesting. The big news of the day, Donald Trump has been arraigned in Manhattan on 34 counts of a complicated scheme that alleges that he attempted to defraud somebody. I've read parts of the indictment.
I think that's a Ponzi scheme, too.
Yeah, the indictment's a Ponzi scheme for sure. It turns out that Alvin Bragg, the district attorney in Manhattan, has indicted Donald Trump, and the indictment consists of or relates to transactions where Trump reimbursed his lawyer, whose name is Cohen, when Cohen had paid Stormy Daniels some hush money. Now, a hush money agreement or non-disclosure agreement is not against the law. I suspect there are lots of rich, wealthy businessmen who get blackmailed all the time and cough up a little money to make those people shut up and go home. That is what Trump did. Remember that both Trump has consistently denied the affair, and Stormy Daniels is on record having denied it at least once. In any event, during all of that situation, she was represented by a lawyer who wound up stealing all of her money, and she filed a lawsuit against Donald Trump when she lost, and she had to reimburse Donald Trump for his legal fees. In any event, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg has decided that Donald Trump defrauded the voters of New York City by attempting to keep these women quiet in an attempt to keep adverse publicity out of the election cycle news. And of course, that didn't happen either. Interestingly, it's very difficult to determine who Trump was going to defraud because the scheme involved internal documents within Trump's own company. Many, many legal commentators have criticized this indictment, particularly in light of the fact that the Department of Justice passed on it. Cyrus Vance, the Manhattan DA who originally looked at this, passed on it, and Alvin Bragg himself originally passed on it. In light of rising crime rates in New York City, the notion that this is an effective way to protect the public seems a very thin theory. Bragg has also been accused of being on a witch hunt against Trump because he attempted to, when running for re-election, claimed he was going to indict Trump. So this is a DA who has found the man, and now he has to find the crime. Bragg has been roundly criticized by a number of people, including Jeb Bush, who was at one time one of Trump's opponents. The next court appearance for Trump will be in December, but I anticipate there'll be many, many filings for motions to dismiss, motions attacking jurisdiction of this case, and other legal developments. But this will drag on for the next several months, which is exactly what the Democrats wanted. They were less interested in a conviction than they were in dragging Trump through the process. So we will continue to keep an eye on this and let you know of latest developments. You're listening to 96.5 News Talk. Stay tuned. We'll be back after the news at the top of the hour.
This is WBFG 96.5 FM, 96.5 FM, Parker's Crossroads, Jackson.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. Former President Trump has pleaded not guilty to 34 felony counts. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports from Lower Manhattan.
In a history-making courthouse appearance, Trump was arrested and arraigned. He pleaded not guilty to the 34-count indictment that alleges a scheme to suppress negative information that could have affected the 2016 presidential election. After the former president left the building, his attorney, Todd Blanche, characterized the allegations as boilerplate. He said there were no surprises in the indictment. Blanche described Trump as frustrated and upset, but also as motivated. Greg Clugston, New York.
The battle for a Supreme Court seat in Wisconsin has gone to the voters today. Howard Schwaber, a professor of political science and law at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, explains why the state's Supreme Court race pitting Democrat-backed candidate Janet Protasevich against Republican-backed Dan Kelly is seen to be so important in an election battleground state.
Right now, the Wisconsin Supreme Court has a 4-3 conservative majority, and the ideological differences between the majority and the minority are very stark. If Janet Protasevich wins in this election, that balance will shift to a 4-3 liberal majority. And so the new majority will take the court in a dramatically different direction from the one it's been going now. If Dan Kelly wins, the court will remain in its current state ideologically.
Strong storms, likely including tornadoes, are expected to hit parts of the Midwest and South beginning this evening. That has prompted officials to warn people, many coping with damage inflicted by deadly weather over the weekend, to have shelter ready before going to bed. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 198 points, the Nasdaq dropped 63, the S&P 500 lower by 23. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Inflation is pushing up the cost of just about everything: food, gas, clothing. But life insurance, which thanks to inflation you need now more than ever, actually costs less today than it did a few years ago. Now is the time to get the insurance you need at a price you can afford. Call SelectQuote now and we'll help you save more than 50% on term life insurance. In a hurry? Don't worry. With SelectQuote, you can get up to $2 million in instant, same-day coverage with no medical exam. That's right. Get up to $2 million in instant, affordable same-day coverage with no medical exam in under an hour.
Call SelectQuote now at 1-800-507-2266. That's 1-800-507-2266. Or go to SelectQuote.com now and get up to $2 million in instant, same-day coverage with no medical exam. That's 1-800-507-2266. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercial.
China is seething as American chip controls threaten China's domestic tech ambitions.
Furious at U.S. efforts that cut off access to technology to make advanced computer chips, China's leader appears to be struggling to figure out how to retaliate without hurting China's own ambitions in telecoms, artificial intelligence and other industries. President Xi Jinping's government sees the chips that are used in everything from phones to fighter jets as crucial assets in its rivalry with Washington and efforts to gain wealth and global influence. Xi, in unusually pointed language, has accused Washington of trying to block China's development. He's called on the public to dare to fight. Despite that, I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Mexican authorities say the killings of 4 men in the resort of Cancun is probably related to drug gang rivalries. The 4 men were found in the city's hotel zone. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. The Finnish flag has been raised at NATO headquarters in Brussels as Russia's western neighbor becomes the 31st member of the Western Alliance.
Jens Stoltenberg said he was glad and proud to be the NATO Secretary-General welcoming Finland. Not so many years ago, he added, it was unthinkable that a non-aligned Finland would join. But that all changed with Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The strategic significance of Finland joining NATO is it has an 800-mile border with Russia. President Putin, who said he wanted less NATO on his frontier, is instead getting more. The Kremlin's response has been predictable, describing Finland's membership as an escalation.
BBC correspondent Jonathan Beale reporting from Brussels, Belgium. The country of Sweden has also requested membership in NATO. More on these stories available at townhall.com.
Looking to add a little spice to your love life?
Nothing adds spice like gunpowder.
Jackson's only indoor shooting range. Date night at the range. Here's what you lovebirds get: a shooting lane for two targets, 100 rounds of ammo, eye and ear protection, and a $30 gift certificate to Texas Roadhouse. All for just $99.99.
Now that's firepower.
Perfect for a gift card from the range. The range, 2310 North Highland Avenue in Jackson.
Go to therange.com.
My name is Steven and I'm 41 years old. I started having problems with my weight, my focus, my energy all around. I spent thousands of dollars a year on supplements trying to get my weight down, and it never worked.
Are these problems affecting your work, your relationships, and your quality of life? You'll be happy to know there is an exciting, natural solution available called BioT. BioT uses a natural way for men and women to correct these problems by safely and accurately balancing hormone levels without the use of synthetic injections or creams.
So I got the treatment, and it has been the best decision of my life. I feel great. I'm losing weight. I have more energy. I'm getting stronger in the gym, and I can focus so much better. And I notice that I also sleep better, and I'm always in a good mood. And I believe it's all because of the BioT treatment.
To schedule an appointment to find out if BioTE is right for you, call 731-462-3596. That's 731-462-3596. 96.
When the game goes into overtime. But the game goes into overtime. The choice to enjoy is easy. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Pick up Bud Light at your local convenience store today. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Central Distributors, Jackson.
News Talk 96.5 FM weather presented by Dustin Ring. Dustin buys houses fast for cash. Call Dustin now, 731-200-1362. Tuesday brings partly sunny skies, breezy and warm. High temps in the mid-80s. Winds, 15 to 20, gusting up to 30 miles per hour. Mostly cloudy overnight. Showers likely with a slight chance of thunderstorms after midnight. Low of 70. Wind gusts up to 40 miles per hour are possible. Dustin Ring. Dustin buys houses fast for cash. Call Dustin now, 731-200-1362. DustinBuys.com.
Hi, my name's Dawn. I have been taking BioT at Advanced Medical. My moods are better. I sleep well. My husband has complimented me on the mood swings that are no longer affecting our marriage.
Are these problems affecting your work, your relationships, and your quality of life? You'll be happy to know there's an exciting, natural solution available called BioT. BioT uses a natural way for men and women to correct these problems by safely and accurately balancing hormone levels without the use of synthetic injections or cream.
I got blood work done, and they identified what hormones were out of balance. They gave me the bioidentical hormone pellets through BioT, and now I have more energy, no more brain fog, I'm sleeping better, and I feel like my old self again. I would recommend Advanced Rehab and Medical and their BioT program to anyone suffering with symptoms like mine. It's been life-changing.
To book your appointment, call 731-462-8580. That's 731-462-8580.
Take us with you wherever you go. Download our free apps for Apple and Android. Visit newstalkwtn.com. Then click to download.
Good afternoon. This is Dr. Mark Fowler, sitting in for Dan Reeves. This is the Dan Reeves Show, coming to you from Gene Langley Ford Studios on Highland Avenue in Jackson, Tennessee. Gene Langley Ford, family owned and operated at 3500 East End in Humboldt, Tennessee. You can shop online for new and used cars at GeneLangleyFord.com. Give Gene Langley Ford a try before you buy. This is the dealership that service built. Our phone line sponsors CWA Development, specialists in renovation and restoration, including fire damage, water damage, plumbing problems. They clean gutters, roofs, and windows. They do wood repairs on fences and decks. They also do lawnmower repairs. Open Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Sunday for emergencies, 731-503-9598. Our text line sponsor is Advanced Rehab and Medical, operated by Dr. Shannon Bone, one of the premier chiropractors in Jackson, Tennessee. The text line number is 731-800-TEXT, 731-800-TEXT. If you have chronic pain, go see Dr. Shannon Bone now. Get a free consultation at 731-664-6998 and visit advancedrehabjackson.com. Some more review of the news. As you may remember, Evan Gershkovich, a reporter for Wall Street Journal, has been arrested in Russia on counts of espionage. The Wall Street Journal has denied the charges, and Gershkovich is a credentialed journalist with Wall Street Journal. Now, it's time to back up and take a longer look at these problems. It is my contention that any administration may have a signal event which sets the tone for assessing the administration. Back during Reagan's presidency, he had been supported by the Air Traffic Controllers Union. During his presidency, the air traffic controllers had a number of grievances against the FAA, including pay and work hours. They could not come to an agreement and threatened to strike. Reagan, who was himself a former union president of the Screen Actors Guild, told the air traffic controllers if they struck, they would be fired. They did not believe him and, in fact, went on strike. Reagan gave them, I think it was 24 to 48 hours to return to work, after which he said they would be fired, and they did not, and they were fired. That became the yardstick by which others assessed Reagan's determination and his instincts, even though this hurt him politically, because obviously the air traffic controllers had supported him and given him money. He felt it was right for the country. And thereafter, his presidency was judged by this event. Likewise, Joe Biden's presidency will be judged by the categorical collapse of the United States resolve in Afghanistan and the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. Biden wanted to get out of Afghanistan, which was at that time more or less at peace, with 2,500 American troops maintaining the peace between warring factions. When Biden came to office, he indicated he wanted the troops out of there, virtually without regard to the cost. He wanted them out before September to claim a victory and an end to a 20-year involvement with the Afghani nation. Unfortunately, his military advisors could not pull off a withdrawal of that magnitude in a short period of time, as a result of which billions, literally billions of dollars of equipment, warfighting equipment, were left behind in Afghanistan. It was a complete fiasco. Hundreds of Americans were left behind and subsequently have to be rescued by other American non-governmental organizations. Afghani collaborators who had helped us during our time over there were left behind. And 13 Marines were killed when adequate security was not maintained at one of the airport gates. You will recall pictures of Afghanis climbing on C-17s in preparation for departure, many of whom were killed when the aircraft took off, despite the fact that they were on the runway and hanging off of the plane. Add to that Biden's mishandling of the border. Add to that Biden's mishandling of virtually everything that he has laid his hands on, and the entire world is watching. You'll recall that not too long ago, Brittany Griner was arrested on charges of selling drugs based upon a small amount of hashish that had been found in one of her vape pens. She was held for several months and ultimately released, but exchanged for the Merchant of Death. We got a basketball player back. They got the Merchant of Death back. Subsequently, Evan Gershkovich has been kidnapped, and we are left holding the bag. Gershkovich is in Russia, imprisoned. They have the Merchant of Death. We have nothing to trade. But you can imagine that the Russians will take full advantage of this in an effort to obtain something of their favor. The next thing that Biden has done wrong with this is this. The press secretary, Mrs. Jean Pierre, has gone on record as saying this is a case that is a priority for this president, which is the equivalent of saying we will do anything, whatever it takes, to get this man back. The best way of handling this is to keep your mouth shut and keep the Russians guessing about the real worth of this particular hostage. The more you trumpet that this is a priority, the more expensive it's going to be to get Gershkovich back. Another aspect of this is the first time a journalist has been charged with espionage in over 40 years. So this is a remarkable development. The entire world is watching to determine how Biden will handle this situation. But it appears that the Biden has signaled his weakness to the world, and the world is taking advantage of that. So, Larry, can you update us on the weather just a little bit?
Sure. Currently in Jackson, it's 87 degrees. It feels like 89 degrees. So this is a lot of humidity, and this is air conditioning weather, especially in the car. Didn't have much trouble at home today, but probably will tonight. The barometric pressure in Bemis, I know they're waiting, 29.77. Mostly cloudy tonight. The low will be 72. This thing,
computers are wonderful.
A
when they
slight
work.
chance of showers and thunderstorms after midnight. Some thunderstorms may be severe with gusty winds, frequent lightning, and heavy rainfall. Breezy with lows around 70, south winds 15 to 20 miles an hour with gusts up to 40 miles per hour. Chance of rain 20%. Tomorrow, on Wednesday, thunderstorms, high 76, low 52, 80% chance of storms Wednesday night. So prepare for a rainy day tomorrow. On Thursday, 40% chance of storms, the high 54, and then Thursday night it'll be mostly clear, 45 degrees, and on Friday, you're into the work week day, and school, into your school week, 59 degrees, mostly cloudy, and the low Friday night will be 49, mostly cloudy. There's the weather brought to you by Dustin Ring, DustinBuysHouses.com.
Thank you, Larry. So we'll be watching for potentially heavy weather tonight, thunderstorms tonight, and potentially heavy weather tomorrow.
All day tomorrow.
All day tomorrow. Okay. All right. Additional developments on the worldwide scene include the fact that China is no longer very discreet about their intentions. Consider the following. China is threatening to retaliate if House Speaker Kevin McCarthy meets next week with Taiwanese President Tsai Ing. Tsai is making a 10-day overseas trip. Has she come and did he meet with her? I think he met with her already.
I think he has.
But the notion that Chinese would threaten to retaliate and what form that retaliation would take is a new and disturbing development. The Chinese are actively seeking world dominance. If you think about it just a second, everything the Chinese have done recently is intended to establish their dominance as a world economic and political power. Among other things, they ship the component parts of fentanyl to Mexico, where the component parts are reconfigured to make fentanyl, which is then incorporated into counterfeit medications and has caused 100,000 deaths last year. That is twice the number of people that died in Vietnam. The Chinese are known to steal secrets, patent secrets, and other secrets and incorporate that technology into their own products. China has been threatening Taiwan for some period of time. Taiwan represents an island off the coast of China, which has tried to maintain its independence since the end of the Second World War. The United States has long adopted an ambiguous policy, which analysts say may become increasingly untenable as China becomes more assertive in the region. Honduras recently cut ties with Taiwan and established diplomatic relations with China, leaving Taiwan with only 13 countries that recognize it as a sovereign state. Tsai is set to transit through New York today on her way to Guatemala and Belize before meeting McCarthy. So everything the Chinese do is intended to weaken or take advantage of the United States. The balloon is now believed, that was shot down not long ago, is now believed to have been successful in transmitting information to China in real time. What was not known but is known now is that over the mid-continent of the United States, where ICBM bases are located, the balloon, which was steerable by the Chinese, performed several figure-8 maneuvers before moving on south, crossing Arkansas, Tennessee, Oak Ridge, and South Carolina. The significance of each of those is there's some military significance to each of those places. Oak Ridge for Tennessee and a major port of embarkation in South Carolina. Clearly an attempt to spy on the United States, clearly successful, and demonstrated again Biden's complete inability to manage his responsibilities. These are disturbing times. We need a strong leader, whoever that is, to stand up to China and to make the United States' presence and resolve known and understood by those who would seek to take advantage of us. The kidnapping of Gerskovich is just one more example of foreign entities attempting to take advantage of what they perceive to be weakness on the part of the United States. So, troubling times. It's going to take significant determination by the United States to get around this. Scientists at Budweiser, according to the Babylon Bee, scientists at Budweiser are attempting to discover how many beers it would take for Dylan Mulvaney to actually pass as a woman. Beer scientists at Budweiser headquarters are reportedly working hard at research to answer this question. You recall that Dylan Mulvaney recently celebrated 365 days of girlhood. He is a transgender man who believes himself to be a woman, which is all right and perfectly appropriate for a spokesman of Bud Light, which is a beer that believes itself, which is a fake beer that believes itself to be a real beer. So you have a beverage passing itself off as beer, represented by a man passing himself off as a woman. Larry, I don't see anything could go wrong there. Do you?
Not at all.
More news from the Babylon Bee. The judge for the Trump trial has been revealed to be a kangaroo in a powdered wig, according to observers in the New York courtroom. So that's going to be interesting. And Trump has actually entered a plea of guilty. In New York City, Trump has pled guilty to being an incredible lover, which is a new development. Crowds gathering in support of President Donald Trump, according to the Babylon Bee, protested his arraignment on criminal charges, were stunned to hear that he was preparing to enter a guilty plea, but later relieved to learn that Trump's plea only admitted his guilt in the affair with Stormy Daniels of being an incredible lover. I am truly guilty, I must say, the President said in a statement released by his legal team. I have to admit it. I'm an amazing, wonderful, passionate, tender, and attentive lover, one of the greatest of all human history. My reputation is huge for this. So there you are.
How do you think I got a supermodel if I wouldn't?
That's right. Maybe it was his sparkling personality. I don't know. Anyway, more news, important news from the Babylon Bee. So we'll be following all of those things. In Peru, it turns out that one of the national parks on the eastern flank of the Andes is being stripped at a rate faster than was anticipated. This is another one of these diversity, equity, and inclusion gigs. Apparently, there's a mechanism by which you can buy carbon credits. So the national park, which is in the Amazon rainforest, sells carbon credits. But an analysis by independent experts and reporting by the Associated Press raises doubts about whether the project has delivered on its promise to counterbalance emissions by oil companies. And the tree loss has more than doubled. Experts say the project was flawed from the beginning, with far too many carbon credits generated and exaggerated benefits that allowing the nonprofit running the park to make more money. Imagine that. Imagine people selling carbon credits, not keeping their books correctly. Larry, I know that you're shocked to hear that.
I'm scared I'm going to bust my chin open when it hits the table here.
All right. What else have we got going here? Georgia has tightened control over rogue prosecutors. A new Georgia commission to discipline and remove wayward prosecutors would be the latest move nationwide to ratchet up oversight on what Republicans see as woke prosecutors who aren't doing enough to fight crime. The Georgia House voted 97 to 77 for Senate Bill 92 to create the commission, and the Senate later sent the measure to Republican Brian Kemp for his signature. Kemp has indicated he would support the concept. The Georgia bill parallels efforts to remove prosecutors in Florida, Missouri, Indiana, and Pennsylvania, as well as broader disputes nationwide over how certain criminal offenses should be charged. All continue anti-crime campaigns that Republicans ran nationwide last year. You know, this has never been a problem in the history of the country, as far as I know, about prosecutors, which is primarily a ministerial job. You know,
right.
There are crimes, the police bring the crimes to the DA makes a decision about prosecuting or not prosecuting, but now we have prosecutors who are actively tilting the scales in favor of the criminals. We've already talked about Alvin Bragg, who up in New York is tilting the scales in favor of the criminals and against the citizenry. We've talked about the two individuals who were charged with crimes, subsequently dropped, but actually trying to defend himself. So this whole business of prosecutors acting in ways that are injurious to the public is just a brand new philosophy. And we have not had much opportunity to deal with it and to remove those prosecutors. So let's see that we had who was the fellow out in California they tried but could not remove? They got one, Chesa Boudin. They got him out, and he was in San Francisco. And
I don't remember who the other guy is.
George Gascon, they tried a recall movement at least twice, but didn't have enough signatures.
Well, they tried to recall the governor.
Yeah. So you have Gascon and Chesa Boudin in California. Kim Foxx is under political pressure in Chicago, particularly for that Jussie Smollett fiasco.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's one in Atlanta whose name escapes me, but she was in charge, and you had somebody who got hurt and who was out on parole or probation, and she was lax in prosecuting that case. And after that girl got hurt, who was that? Was that Atlanta? Maybe it was someplace else. Anyway, that girl got hurt, and they started to come after her, but I don't remember what her name was. Anyway, it's a real problem when the DAs are not protecting the people. This whole notion of decarceration. I was talking to Commissioner of the Department of Corrections earlier at lunch today. He was telling me the 3-year recidivism rate for prisoners in Tennessee is 30%. So 30% of the prisoners released in Tennessee come back within 3 years. Now, that is a soft figure, and I say it's a soft figure because if they get so much as a DUI or a parking ticket or something like that, then they're technically revoked. But that doesn't mean they necessarily go back to prison. But a significant number do have problems after they get released. And sometimes the only way to deal with them is to simply put them away and keep them out of everybody's way. So, but rogue prosecutors are becoming a real problem in this country. Then there's Larry Kravich or Krasik in Philadelphia. And Philadelphia crime is out of control, and he's soft on criminals as well. So it's a real problem across the nation, and we're probably going to see more problems, more unhappiness about that before we get that problem solved. Coming to the bottom of the hour, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll wrap up and talk about everything else that's going on we haven't talked about yet. You're listening to 96.5 News Talks. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a minute.
If you're in business, you know just how important each call is. You don't have time for phone or internet downtime. Your business needs a reliable communications partner 24/7. You need Lifeline Voice and Data. Lifeline Voice and Data provides telephone service to emergency service facilities all over West Tennessee and beyond. For your business, we don't just provide a phone line. We provide a lifeline. Lifeline Voice and Data.
Vintage doesn't always mean long-lasting. As your home systems age, your repair costs, utility bills, and breakdowns rise. During Hiller's Vintage Showdown, we're giving away a free new system to the owner of the oldest HVAC unit. Submit a picture of your old equipment online to see if you qualify as the winner. Everybody wins with trade-in credits plus 0% financing for up to 48 months with approved credit on select new HVAC systems. Enter to win now at happyhiller.com.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Hi, my name's Dawn. I have been taking BioT at Advanced Medical. My moods are better. I sleep well. My husband has complimented me on the mood swings that are no longer affecting our marriage.
Are these problems affecting your work, your relationships, and your quality of life? You'll be happy to know there's an exciting, natural solution available called BioT. BioT uses a natural way for men and women to correct these problems by safely and accurately balancing hormone levels without the use of synthetic injections or cream.
I got blood work done, and they identified what hormones were out of balance. They gave me the bioidentical hormone pellets through BioT, and now I have more energy, no more brain fog, I'm sleeping better, and I feel like my old self again. I would recommend Advanced Rehab and Medical and their BioT program to anyone suffering with symptoms like mine. It's been life-changing.
To book your appointment, call 731-462-8580. That's 731-462-8580.
King Jewelers is not your typical jewelry store. It's an iconic symbol of love, custom-made jewelry to suit the most discriminating taste. Or you can redesign an old piece that's just sitting in a jewelry box. Create something completely new and unique. Grover has over 40 years' experience as a certified jeweler. Visit KingJewelerJackson.com. King Jewelers at 16B Conrad Drive, Jackson. Follow King Jewelers Jackson on social media for special savings.
News Talk West Tennessee includes NewsTalk965.com and NewsTalk 96.5 FM, covering local news, sports, and weather on an extensive network of platforms, including radio, social media streaming, digital TV, live stream, podcasts, all on your devices. Our local and live weekday lineup includes Daybreak with Greg Wood and G-Unit, Walker Talks with Chuck Walker and Julie Holt, The Dan Reeves Show with Gina Langley and Larry Newman, Dave Ramsey, Jackson-Madison County Schools Game of the Week, UT Vols Sports, and the Memphis Grizzlies. Local, live, News Talk West Tennessee and NewsTalk965.com. Hear it first on News Talk 96.5 FM. We might be talking about you. Welcome to Hampton Inn & Suites of Jackson. Make yourself at home in any of the 83 rooms or suites. Hampton Inn & Suites exit 83 at I-40 is minutes away from all Jackson destinations like the West Tennessee Healthcare Sportsplex, Casey Jones Village, Jackson-Madison County General Hospital, and many industrial complexes. Enjoy free Wi-Fi, free parking, and free hot breakfast. Also a 24-hour fitness and business center. Welcome to West Tennessee. Make your reservations now by calling direct at 731-427-6100 or visit hampton.com.
When the game goes into overtime. But the game goes into overtime. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Pick up Bud Light at your local convenience store today. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Central Distributors, Jackson.
When you need a heart expert, you need an expert with heart. Corbin Cardiology is dedicated to providing the highest quality cardiovascular care in West Tennessee. At Corbin Cardiology, our patient-centered approach, along with a full array of diagnostic imaging services, sets us apart from other cardiovascular clinics. Corbin Cardiology has clinics in Bartlett, Dyersburg, Lexington, and the newest location is now open in Jackson at 58 Murray Guard Drive. To schedule an appointment in office or by telemedicine, visit CorbinCardiology.com
or call 731-513-5701.
96.5 FM. Home of the Dan Reeves Show.
Weekday afternoons, 3 till 6.
This is Dr. Mark Fowler, and joining me now is Dan Reeves, who's gotten through taking care of business. We're wrapping up the last half hour. The other out-of-control prosecutor I wanted to mention was Kim Gardner, who is the Democratic St. Louis Circuit Attorney. They have a slightly different name for her. And
now, Doc.
Yeah, Democratic. And what happened there was this. The Missouri Attorney General has called for her resignation after a motorist who repeatedly violated his bond conditions on other charges crashed and injured a teenage volleyball player from Tennessee, which resulted in the amputation of both of her legs. She was a high school volleyball player, and her life has been changed forever. It turns out that this individual had 50 violations of his bond conditions, was African American, and Kim Gardner did nothing to protect the public from him.
Now, who's Kim Gardner?
Kim Gardner is the circuit district attorney in St. Louis.
And she is she's made your radar. Why?
She's made the radar because some time ago, relatively recently, a Tennessee girl was injured by an individual who had 50 bond violations.
Lordy.
He was on bond, and he apparently had an ankle monitor, and there were 50 different incidences where he had left the house under circumstances that were not permissible.
But how'd you pick up on this?
Well,
out
it
of
was
Missouri.
It was on the wire. It was a big story a few days ago. Yeah. Here he is on the Toronto Star. I mean, that's how big it
Toronto,
was.
Canada?
Yeah.
Local alive, folks.
Yeah. And where we were talking about the nationwide problem of district attorneys whose agenda does not seem to square with prosecuting criminals.
Nationwide.
Yeah.
What else is?
Well, you have Alvin Bragg, who you had the bodega guy, and Allen Bragg said he was going to charge him with murder when he tried to defend himself. The fellow came in with a knife and attempted to cut up this bodega employee. The bodega employer took the knife away from him and stabbed the individual in the neck, and he died. And then there was another fellow who was a garage attendant.
What about the judge, though?
What about the what?
The DA.
Well,
Where's
the
he
DA,
coming to play?
the
He
DA
didn't do that.
originally wanted to charge the bodega employee with murder.
Okay.
And after a public outcry, the DA dropped the charges.
That was where?
That was in New York City.
Okay. But
Yeah.
I would suspect there's more to it than that, but I don't know.
It was on
seems
tape.
Extreme.
Yeah, it was on tape.
Oh, well, Lord.
Yeah.
Was it on Twitter?
I don't know about that. But in any event, it was on tape, and this fellow was roughed up. Jose Alba.
Was he a Democrat?
I don't think so. But Jose, I think, was from Costa Rica. And Jose.
Costa Rica?
Yeah. Let's see if I can find that. It's
That's
a pretty
nice place.
Pretty impressive
Good coffee.
video. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So this idiot
Give me
comes.
a little more, Mike. Would you, Larry? I talk low. Test 1, 2. There you go. Hello, Cole.
Hey.
And so here's the video of the bodega stabbing. This guy comes in, roughs up Jose Alba, and Jose takes his knife away from him. That's probably what upset Alvin Bragg. You're not supposed to take a knife away from it.
Yeah, that would make me mad, too.
Yeah. So anyway, but it gets worse. And
But wait, there's more.
Yeah. It gets worse because a few days ago there was a garage attendant, and the garage attendant noticed this fella carrying a garbage bag and looking in all the cars. And so the garage attendant said, whatever it is you're doing, you're not welcome here, leave. The thief shot the garage attendant twice, once in the face, it was a grazing wound, and once in the stomach, whereupon the garage attendant took the gun away from him and shot him. Now get this. The cops charged that guy with attempted murder and illegal possession of a gun just because he tried to defend himself. They charged him with illegal possession of a gun, the very gun that the thief was going to use to shoot him with. So anyway, after public outcry, Alvin Bragg dismissed those charges.
Yeah, because the public they are pretty accurate when it comes to the judicial system.
But anyway.
Wait a minute, no, they're not.
But here's this guy roughing up the bodega.
Holding courts, and everybody's guilty. I'm not doubting anything you're saying. That's not enough for me. I'd have to look into that.
Well, here's the bodega problem. And there's the dude with a $200 T-shirt. It looks like to me. I don't know.
I've never paid $200 for a T-shirt. Have you?
No, but I've never seen a T-shirt like that either.
Yeah, it's the.
And there we go.
What did you make of there's some photos been released, of President Trump's arraignment or arrest today. What do you make of that?
That's another political sideshow. That's all it is.
Political
It's a
sideshow.
political prosecution. The fundamentals of that is it's intended to defraud, but these were internal documents in one of Trump's own companies. And so whether you categorize them as legal expenses or what else.
34 felony counts, indictments.
Right.
I think the political side is bent on people that are pledge allegiance to particular political parties.
There's some
like
of that.
rooting
Yeah.
for the favorite team.
Yeah, there's some of that.
I mean,
Sure.
You don't know Donald Trump personally. I don't know him personally. It's you know, I don't know any of these people personally up there.
Well, we'll have to see how it plays out for sure. But
yeah.
these are pretty weak charges.
I mean, they typically don't do that with even if it was Cole, but certainly not an ex-president of the United States. I'd be shocked if it was flimsy, because Lordy, if that's the case, but
that's the argument some people are making, that it is very flimsy, and
not the some people was like Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell were saying they had all this information on Dominion, even dug up Hugo Chavez, who's dead, but when they had an opportunity to present it in court, they didn't. Wonder why?
Apparently they didn't have it.
No, they didn't have it because all they wanted to do was get it in a court of public.
Yeah. But Adam Schiff did the same thing.
Yeah, let's do one at a time instead of running. We'll tackle Schiff next. But it's, it insults my intelligence. This stuff does. I mean, it really does. Now, what about Schiff? Let's deal with Schiff. What did he do?
Well, Schiff maintained persistently that he had definitive evidence that Trump was guilty of Russian collusion. He never produced it because he never had it.
I don't know exactly. He said he had it?
Yes, Schiff.
How did he have it?
I don't know. As chairman of the
I never
House
heard him
Judiciary.
say that. Did he? But, okay, now, peeps, I'm not a fan of his either, but I'm just trying to I want to bust all of them that are doing things that are they essentially are going to, if this continues, they're going to inflict a mortal injury to our country.
Correct. That's correct.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. But these 34 counts, felony counts against Donald Trump, it was a series of checks that Trump or his company wrote during the presidential campaign to his lawyer and his so-called fixer, and for his role in making a payment to. And Donald Trump may very well be, well, it certainly would be on a short list of men that have paid a porn actress to shut her mouth, who was, the extramarital affair with President Trump, or before he was president. He pointed that out. But the payments, according to these charges, an unlawful plan to identify and suppress negative information that could have undermined his campaign for president and protect his candidacy. And apparently, his fixer, the lawyer, what's his name again? He's
Cohen.
He's out. Yeah, Mark
Cohen.
Michael Cohen is out. He did his time at a penitentiary. He's free as a bird now, but he went to prison for the same thing. So I don't know how this is. At some point, this stuff has followed Trump around his entire life.
Right.
It's kind of like, what's the country music star's name? Gorgeous, blonde. You like country music, don't you, Cole?
Yeah.
What is her name? She's still a big star.
How old?
Who?
Old or young?
She's, for you, she'd be old. She'd be like 30.
Carrie Underwood?
She'd be a kid. No, it's long blonde hair.
Miranda Lambert?
No, it's the one that's Kanye West cut off during the...
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
As she writes these songs about it, it's always the guy's fault. At some point, she ought to write a song entitled "Maybe It's Me." Yeah, it's kind of like that with Trump. It's I mean,
you know what happens when you play a country music song backwards, don't you?
What you
get your
wife
dog
comes
back,
yeah,
you get your truck
yeah,
back, you get
yeah.
your mobile home back.
Yeah, that's right, Doc. Do you like country music?
No, not particularly.
What's your favorite music?
Doo-wop.
Huh?
I'm an old guy. Cole doesn't even know what doo-wop is. Do you, Cole?
I bet he does.
What
You
is
know
that? Is
huh?
that like?
It's like
doo-wop?
Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. See there.
I'm familiar with old rock or old country, but definitely not.
Man, my taste is
Doo-wop.
eclectic. Really, it's I'll be listening to Frank Sinatra 1 minute, and then it may be Snoop Doggy Dogg and the Dog Pound the next. And I went through just a beautifully done Italian opera not long ago. It's I like a little bit of all.
You're
of
all
it.
over the place.
Yeah. Yes. And I've hung out with George Jones.
Well, that's interesting.
So
we got a couple of things to talk about. We'll be back in just a few minutes as we wrap up the show.
And
you're listening to the Dan
I wanted to
Reeves
mention
show.
Doc. Wait, you brought that up. When we come back, I want to get your thoughts on medical marijuana.
All right.
See what you think about that.
Sure.
We'll be right back. Stand by for news. It's the weather in here is frightful. It feels like Florida.
Watch Tennessee Championship Wrestling every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. on NewsTalkWestTennessee.com. See all the Memphis legends, Jerry the King Lawler, Dangerous Doug Gilbert, Superstar Bill Dundee, along with stars of today, the Mid-South Prodigy Bam Bam Bundy, M.J. Davis, Mr. Marvelous Mike Mayo, Insane Dane, Big Gravy, The Rocket Josh Benson, Lucky P. Larson, and many, many more. You can also view TCW on the News Talk West Tennessee app for all your Apple and Android devices. Catch Tennessee Championship Wrestling every Saturday at noon on NewsTalkWTN.com.
When the game goes into overtime. But the game goes into overtime. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Pick up Bud Light at your local convenience store today. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Central Distributors, Jackson.
What do you think he'll get you this year? Candy? Flowers?
No, I was thinking something more sparkly.
Wow, congratulations. How many carats do you think he'll spring forward?
Girl, forget the ring. I want some of that shiny 45 Automark bling.
At 45 Automark, get a jewelry box full of $1,000 savings just by walking in and saying,
"Show me the bling."
We've had an 18-year clean Carfax successful marriage to our customers, and to keep the romance alive, we're taking $1,000 off so our relationship thrives. Say,
"Show me the bling."
And carry this loaded leather sunroof Honda CRV over the threshold for $11,900, or pick up this 60,000-mile 2020 Chevy Colorado for just $21,900. Don't fall for Mr. Megadigger with a sappy sales spiel and false love sting when every drive-in your Forever 45 ride will give you the feels like a sweet romance with $1,000 off because you said,
"Show me the bling."
So call 989-8059 or come to 45 Automark today. Wear your $1,000 off the perfect for you ride with that loves and bloom at first sight feeling that'll make you swoon and leave you reeling. Dealer!
Hi, my name's Dawn. I have been taking BioT at Advanced Medical. My moods are better. I sleep well. My husband has complimented me on the mood swings that are no longer affecting our marriage.
Are these problems affecting your work, your relationships, and your quality of life? You'll be happy to know there's an exciting, natural solution available called BioT. BioT uses a natural way for men and women to correct these problems by safely and accurately balancing hormone levels without the use of synthetic injections or cream.
I got blood work done, and they identified what hormones were out of balance. They gave me the bioidentical hormone pellets through BioT, and now I have more energy, no more brain fog, I'm sleeping better, and I feel like my old self again. I would recommend Advanced Rehab and Medical and their BioT program to anyone suffering with symptoms like mine. It's been life-changing.
To book your appointment, call 731-462-8580. That's 731-462-8580.
Looking to add a little spice to your love life?
Nothing adds spice like gunpowder.
Jackson's only indoor shooting range. Date night at the range. Here's what you lovebirds get: a shooting lane for two targets, 100 rounds of ammo, eye and ear protection, and a $30 gift certificate to Texas Roadhouse. All for just $99.99.
Now that's firepower.
Perfect for a gift card from the range. The Range, 2310 North Highland Avenue in Jackson.
Go to therange.com.
Take us with you wherever you go. Download our free apps for Apple and Android. Visit NewsTalkWTN.com. Then click to download.
This is Dr. Mark Fowler. You're listening to the Dan Reeves Show from the Gene Langley Ford Studios at Highland Avenue in Jackson, Tennessee. Dan has joined us after taking care of business all afternoon. You had a question you wanted to ask.
Yeah, I want to get your thoughts, since you're a medical doctor, on the medical marijuana. I was reading where here's another breakthrough for medical marijuana. They say now Harvard Medical School talking about the benefits of medical cannabis to benefit chronic pain, muscle spasms, and nausea, anxiety. It's wasn't, well, they at least haven't got around to it yet. So they're still dealing with drag queen brunches here in Tennessee. That widespread problem of 1/6 of 1% of Tennesseans never seen a drag queen brunch, by the way. But medical marijuana, we have neighboring states, and I know people that go across the border. They get a medical card and they drive over there and get their medical marijuana. It doesn't seem like we're close to getting it passed in Tennessee. What's your thoughts on medical marijuana?
People have been chasing that ghost for a long, long time. When I was at UT Martin 45 years ago, there was a professor who was researching the effects of medical marijuana. As a practitioner, I have written for dronabinol, which is a medicine that helps with nausea and vomiting in sick patients for whom nothing else works. There are states where they've passed medical marijuana laws, which turn out to be thinly veiled excuses for allowing people to consume marijuana. There are a handful of drugs out there for most of these problems. The only FDA approval for marijuana is for 2 relatively rare childhood seizure disorders. Apart from that, the FDA has not approved marijuana for anything.
Yeah, the FDA to me, has fallen flat on their face many times. But that's a rigged system as well.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Dallas Buyers Club?
No.
Man, you ought to watch. Have you seen it? You've seen the Dallas Buyers Club? Good. You should watch. But Matthew McConaughey is maybe his greatest performance ever. It's based off a true story. Played a guy named Ron Woodruff or somewhere. He was he did rodeo in like the early '80s in Houston, and he came down with AIDS. He said, "Oh no, I'm not gay," but you don't have to be. But that was early stages,
right.
And he went to Mexico, then he would go to China to get more of a natural drug. Then the only thing the FDA would allow to be patients in the U.S. to be treated was killing them, and it was illegal to sell that drug in America. So he started the Dallas Buyers Club, where you paid a monthly fee to be in the club. If you do that, you got them for free.
Right.
He got away with it for a while.
Right.
It went all the way to the Supreme Court, and they said you can keep taking them.
Right.
But we're not going to make it legal for the rest
everybody.
of Americans. Yeah. But do you think what's more damaging to humans, Oxycontin or marijuana?
Well, there are a number of people who become addicted to OxyContin, which was again consistent with your premise that big pharma and big corporations are ruining this country in favor of their own self-serving interest, and that's true. OxyContin caused a lot of addiction. That's true, but there are thousands and thousands of people with chronic back pain who do benefit from oxycodone.
Oh, I'm sure. Absolutely, that's right. But we have an epidemic, though, of the addiction to opiate-based drugs.
Right, and there's some downsides to marijuana. There are some studies that suggest that marijuana causes COPD or emphysema much quicker than tobacco does. There are some studies that suggest extensive heavy marijuana use can lead to schizophrenia. So marijuana is not exactly the ideal way to go, but for some people it is helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's now what the Harvard Medical School is saying, the benefits of arthritis, sleeping, being over anxious, nausea, vomiting. they released a new study with the benefits of medical marijuana. And in some states, they have take a step further and legalize marijuana use recreational. So I'm all for legalizing it, but I'm a conservative, though. I don't believe in big government. I'm all for legalizing it for whatever purpose you want to use it for.
Well, some people make that argument. They make the argument it's less dangerous to you than alcohol, and that is a reasonable argument to be made. I'm reluctant to endorse that line of thinking because
I can understand why.
I'm reluctant to see people embrace intoxication as a form of recreation.
Yeah, but I think, I thought the Just Say No campaign with Nancy Reagan would do it. I thought people would stop using drugs and say, hey, I'm just going to say no. Apparently, humans have proven over the course of, some say we've been on Earth, 100,000 years, 250,000. We've proven that we're going to find something to help us cope with living on Earth. Evidently, it's pretty stressful around here.
Right.
Yeah, so anything to make you feel better, humans are going to do it.
That's right.
Mark Twain said to make anything precious, you write across the sky in big letters, prohibition. That makes anything precious. There's a lot of truth to that, isn't
That's
it?
right, yeah. And prohibition turned out to be a fiasco.
Yeah, it sure did. Did you ever watch Boardwalk Empire on HBO?
Mm-mm.
Did you? Oh, I'm not going to ask you. But it was terrific. Martin Scorsese series on HBO starring Steve Buscemi and all-star, just an ensemble cast. It started, Doc, I think you would like it. The way that series began, it started the final night. They were counting down to midnight before Prohibition kicked in.
Right.
And it was well done to stay close to history on how women's auxiliary groups, for example, across the nation were used and abused for the whisper campaigns of, ladies, is your husband, is he a drunkard? Does he stay out all night drinking with other women and all this? And it's of the devil. And the people that were saying this to these women's auxiliary groups were laughing.
Right.
Saying, man, boys, we're going to make a ton of money on the black market. Well, this is...
And the women's temperance union was formed at that time because the drinking was a problem. So if you use marijuana,
but the point was
appropriately,
they were not trying to stop alcohol consumption. They just wanted to make all the money off it
from the black
market. Yeah. Yep. It was Budweiser and Miller. When was the last time they got in a shootout? I mean, the Valentine's Day Massacre.
Well, I anticipate Budweiser's they're gonna break free now of the market. They are going to kill it. They are gonna blow the top off the market. Bud Light has this new spokesperson.
I'm not following.
Have you not heard about that? Dylan Mulvaney.
Who's that?
This is a person who is he's transitioning from a man to a woman.
That's Babylon B, man. Don't do that. You got to stop doing that.
No, that's
man.
true.
It's
true.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not.
You look on the wire. It's there.
That's off of Babylon B, Doc.
No, well, there's a satirical story about it, but in reality, a beverage which is not a beer is pretending to be a beer, and that's called Bud Light.
No. No. Yeah, the central distributor is Budweiser, Bud Light, Mick Ultra. It's the best of the absolute best. And the Budweiser King of Calls weekdays, right here. Yeah, those price packs will be given away. We do the Budweiser King of Calls and the King of Text as well. Larry, you're making me nervous.
What?
What is it over there? Are you seeing?
No, I'm just taking care of business over here.
Are we up against the clock?
Yeah.
Bump music. That alerts us all. We're transitioning. Cole. How you coming over there? What do you think about Cole? Is this person you met him?
Cole's a great American. He's a skeet shooter,
Yes. Oh, I've known him. Who's coming against you, Carl or Angela?
Probably Angela.
His mom's an attorney.
Yeah, I heard that. He told me.
Wonderful people. You'd love them, Doc.
Yeah, I look forward to meeting him sometime.
Would you call Carl a flaming liberal? No, he's
Maybe.
very conservative. And a great American, I tell you. Isn't he? He's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Well, Larry, where are we at?
I'm waiting.
Waiting for what? What time is it, man?
6:01.
Man, Doc, it's great to see you.
Good to see you, Dan. Good to be here.
It's hot in here, boys.
It is.
Yes, it is.
We got to get Garrett Plumbing, Heating and Air up here. The air is out.
We got to do something.
Yeah.
These are difficult working
Great to
conditions.
see you, boys. Doc, take it away.
Thank you, sir. You've been listening to the Dan Reeves Show. This is Dr. Mark Fowler. We'll be back this time tomorrow at 3 o'clock. We'll see you then.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. Donald Trump's arraignment in a New York City courtroom has created a spectacle. Correspondent Julie Walker reports.
A small park across the street from the courthouse where Trump is being arraigned is ground zero for supporters, opponents, and everyone in between. Tammy Alpert used to be a prosecutor and brought her 3 kids.
To witness history, because this is the first time in American history that a former president's faced any sort of criminal charges.
She was standing on the side of the park set up by police for Trump protesters. On the other side of the metal barricades, Trump supporter Penny Banda wearing a MAGA hat and carrying a flag.
What they're doing right now is they're breaking our democracy, destroying our country.
Outside Manhattan Criminal Court, Julie Walker, New York.
Republican leaders are warning the arrest of former President Trump will lower the bar for future political prosecutions.
Many Democrats are justifying the arrest, though others fear it could backfire on their party in 2024. Many Republicans, however, are speaking out about the likely impact of indicting Trump and say it could lead to charges against former presidents of all parties in the future. Former GOP